It's hump day.
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, good afternoon. Do you guys know what today is, Brock?
Hump day!
It is hump day. I know.
You go do something. I got to go get some paper towel.
Okay. We just had a little bit of an accident in my side of the studio. So like a whole cup of coffee just went whoosh, all over where all of the equipment is. And so, yeah, we're paying attention to that right now. How about number 4 yesterday? How about that because of you people? You people know who you are, what you've done. Hi, Murtak. I'm glad you're rating us again. I love you for that. Thank you so much. We really are so appreciative. It's been such a weird day, or weird week, I should say. Are we still doing this? Still wet.
Keep talking.
Okay, well. Anywho, in other news, guess what we hit yesterday? Oh my God. Doesn't it sound like we're at the dentist?
Yeah, open wide.
You just do it. Just do it and get it loud. Just do it. Just get it over with and just blast it. 8.3 million downloads. What? That's crazy. Crazy. I love you. So anyway, that's the fun part of today. All right, I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm going to give you this number, and I'm going to give you this website, and I really believe that there are literally thousands of you. Well, there's millions of us that could benefit from this information. But I really think it's going to become extraordinarily necessary, and I would encourage you to please write it down. Okay? And this is for Health Revolution. I believe that doing it yourself, getting your own medical insurance, creating your own policy, choosing the doctors you want to go to, the coverage that you want, I believe that that is the way we need to do it. And Health Revolution, info.healthrevolution.net is how you online go to them. Info.healthrevolution.net. People are saving minimum 30%. Some people are saving up to 60% on their annual premium. That's huge. That's monthly $1,000 or more. That's crazy for some families. 800-868-6187. 800-868-6187. Don't get a bunch of coverage that's expensive that you don't need, that you didn't ask for, that you've got to get, just like the cable bill, right? If you want 2 channels, got to get the premium package. It's got 5,000 and you don't watch any of those. Yeah. Info.healthrevolution.net. Anyways, what's going on, guys? Hi, let me see what the name is. Saprentia. Hello. Hi, Tiedman. Hi, Darius. Hi, Demanda. What's going on, Sherry? What's happening, Ginge? Good to see you, Mr. Flipster. People are calling. It's got to be your extended warranty, Brock. Jules, what's going on?
It's out of date.
Hi, Griffin Lady. Hi, Rob V. Oh, it's good to see Rob V here. Let's talk to some people who are in the comments. See how you guys are doing. How many do we have so far? 61. It's pretty good. Number 4, Jenny Webb says, congratulations. Fantastic. Well, thank you. Hi, Mama J4. What's going on, Goody 2? Brooke does hump day so well. It's the highlight of my Wednesday.
Wow. We need to get you out more often then.
That is special. You mean it's not my nasty lipstick on my glass?
Or your hair going everywhere?
My hair's perfect. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
That was rude. What's wrong with my hair?
Nothing.
That's what I thought. Yeah, you better take yourself off, right? Good morning, Linda. Linda LD, it's good to see you. Patricia 04, hello, bowling mom. Wow, you had no power off for a while, huh? Bad storms. Wow, you've been waiting for days. Holy cow. I'm glad you're back online there, bowling mom. What's up, FJ Nelson from Auburn, California? Where is that? Auburn, California. I'm not familiar. Hello, Albany. What's up, G Manganero, right?
Wow, that's a mouthful.
G Manganero, but I did it. What's up, Pope? Delta Junction, Alaska. Pal, what time is it? What is it there? Is it East? Is it what time is that? I have no
It's time
idea.
to start the show.
Oh, okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain, and welcome home to the Wendy Bell radio program. So excited to announce yesterday we had 8.3 million podcast downloads. That's because you guys are hearing us, you're finding us, you're sharing us, you're tuning in, and you're hearing what I believe is the important news of the day. Is it inclusive? No. But do I think it's good stuff that we should chat about? 100%. WendyBellRadio.com. I hope you follow along. Get the live video stream, join in the chat, and just keep coming back. I'm delighted you're here. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, I have to believe now more than ever that we are all just watching this weird simulation, this very peculiar, I don't know, performance, some kind of theatrical production that is so beyond believable, it's almost comedy. And I cannot believe that on this program, I'm going to agree with people on the left more than I am with those on the right today. And I tell you every single time we start, I'm biased, 100%. I'm not giving you objective news. Objective news flew out the window when they freaking launched a virus on the world, locked us down, and sent our kids into the pit of despair. I mean, like, my objectivity flew out the window when I watched my kids playing basketball with freaking masks on, okay? So I don't promise you to be something other than a fallible, biased, conservative mama bear. That's who I am. And I hate that phrase, mama bear, but it is very appropriate in this iteration right now. I'm looking at what's going on, and you've got two heads of the same snake. And you've got the Democrat side, you've got the Republican side, and they're kind of off on the same body, which is called the Uniparty. These people work together. They're friends. They pretend that they're down with what you're down with. They're going to go fight for you. Democrats been saying the same stuff to black people, trying to court Hispanics, young folks, right? Over on the right, we've got just as many problems. And then each party has developed its own wing, its own splinter branch off, as a direct result of the lies, the deceit, and the coordination of a deep state uniparty that never puts us first. Look, I'm not a Democrat socialist, but I get where they're coming from. I understand what gives birth to and what creates a ripe environment for the petri dish that is called socialism. I get it. I get it. And the Democrats have nobody but to blame but themselves. MAGA started in the early 2000s as the Tea Party. Why? Because we didn't like the rhinos who were running the play. And no matter how many times you try to show up to vote, get out the vote, knock on doors, vote, it never goes your way. You've got to be kidding me. And so created MAGA. This idea that we should make America great again. And a huge crux of that is identifying and defeating the very people who are in the way of what, quite frankly, the socialists want and MAGA wants, right? We want representation. We want people we can believe in. Now, we are diametrically opposed in what we believe in, but we are both shared in this common thing called hate for the deep state, hate for the machine that fails us. And so then you come to this point where now you have elections, right? The Democrats have a real problem with this Graham Plattner thing. Not because of Graham Plattner, not because they're upset that he's accused of raping somebody, not because of the weird apps that he trolled looking for underage people, not because of the awful things he has said about military veterans, not the things he has said about rape and what have you, but because the polling numbers started to look bad. So they pulled a Joe Biden, Kamala Harris switcheroozy, and they pooed all over the people in Maine who wanted Graham Plattner. Now, Graham Plattner, in a very curious state, holds all the keys. He's like the janitor walking down the hallway in your high school, right? He's got that key ring that's like this big. It's like a steering wheel and everything on click, 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 right? It's changing along. He's got every key. Why does he need to get out? He is just exposed the degree to which the Democrat Party will go to hold their nose, plug their ears, and cover up their eyes just so they can win. I want to read you a couple things here. By the way, the Republicans with Mitch McConnell. Yeah, we've got our own story to talk about on that side, and it develops. It's developing. I want to read you this. You're familiar with Elizabeth McDonald from Fox Business. She put out yesterday, and it's apropos. Graham Plattner was losing to Senator Susan Collins in key demographics in Maine. New York Times, Portland Press Herald, Siena poll showing Susan Collins leading Graham Plattner 58% to 37%. That's huge. That's 19 points, right? 21 points. Excuse me, my math is bad. Among working class voters, 21-point advantage among working class voters without a 4-year college degree. Collins was leading Graham Plattner. By contrast, Plattner was leading by 37 points among white college-educated voters. All notable because Democrats have been pushing Plattner as this working class oyster farmer guy whose only, I think, patron was his mom, right? An economic communist, believing that would resonate with blue-collar voters. It hasn't. But what the voters in Maine and now everybody across America is watching, you don't control anything. Your vote does not matter. You going to cast a ballot, whether it's in person or it's your 15 mail-in ballots, those are simply perfunctory. That's pomp and circumstance. That's bells and whistles, lipstick on the pig. That doesn't matter. They've already anointed who's going to go in what position, and they're doing it again by calling on Graham Plattner to drop out. Why should he? Honestly, why should he give up? So much for the big tent party, right? Weren't these the people who just hours ago were making excuses for this guy? Well, we let all kinds of people in. Even people who like Nazis. That's okay. Hello? Are the Jews of America paying attention? Look, I don't defend the socialists. I don't believe what they're doing. I don't believe in their ideology. I don't believe in the anti-capitalistic view they have. Because what they think is going to work never works. It never has. It never will. Just look at New York City right now. Either the city council votes in an 18% pay raise for everybody in City Hall, or they don't, and it gets voted in every single year anyway. That's redistribution of wealth. That's completely contrary to what socialists tell you they're all about. That money isn't going to the people. It's not making rent cheaper. It's not making the subway free. It's not erasing your debt. It's doing nothing. And they're doing it in broad daylight, in your face. We're watching the two heads of this snake now as the rhinos are trying to scramble. We've got to make it look like Mitch McConnell is alert. That he's not just alert, he's alive, he's active, he's having great conversations, as though that wouldn't be a red flag to everybody who's been paying attention to the guy, who has informed a realistic sentence in the better part of a year and a half. I mean, come on. He needs AIDS. President Trump even put out a truth about it. How awful that an aide has to come to a senator on the floor making a comment and tell him what the comment is. Houston, we have a problem. The DSA and MAGA are illustrations of what happens when people get pissed and lied to and stolen from and cheated. Not just once, not twice, but generationally. And now it almost seems like the two of us have got to, like, Wonder Twin powers activate to take down the establishment, because that's what it is. It's an establishment. It's a club. And you ain't in it. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, Scott Jennings did not have a good 24 hours yesterday, guys. It just all sounds so familiar, right? List of people who just so happened to have conversations with Mitch McConnell yesterday, who happen to all say the same thing. Are they thinking that we're not paying attention? Or are they that lazy? You decide. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Right? Like, I'm defending liberals today. I'm going to defend them. Because this one woman on CNN asks Scott Jennings a question. And I'm like, yeah, how about that, Scott? I believe her. I'm 100% on her side. I'm like, yeah. All of a sudden now, we're just supposed to take your word for it that you had a 20-minute conversation with Mitch McConnell. But you asked him none of the pivotal questions that anybody would have asked him. And neither did any of these other people. And you're supposed to believe this is just the way it goes. Really? How about no? Healthy Cell. I took my last calm mood. I took it about an hour ago. I'm now panicking. If you are one who's prone to anxiety, can I suggest just going to healthycell.com/Wendy? Healthycell.com/Wendy. And go and click on Calm Mood and order it and have it shipped to your house. And the next time you start feeling agitated, tense, worried, stressed, out of control, heart pounding, what have you, you start feeling it coming on, take a Calm Mood. Microgel, supplement, get off the prescriptions, do something that's good for you for a change, and watch how your anxiety goes down. Healthycell.com/Wendy. Calm Mood. That's it. That's your hobby for today, or that's your job for today. I think you're going to love it. Okay. Brock feels, I think, very similarly to me in that we're listening to this audio today, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with the Democrat.
Yeah, I mean, I listened
100%.
I listened to a mutual acquaintance of ours.
Socialist Ben.
We've had him on the show. And what they're complaining about is the same problem we have. You know, Graham Plattner was voted for. You know, what is the Uniparty doing to protect the Uniparty? The same thing with Mitch McConnell. What are they doing to protect Mitch McConnell? It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
They're telling their people, fungu.
Yeah. But we got this.
Yeah. We know
got
what's
this.
best for you guys.
Let the pros handle this. Children, please leave the room. Really? Really? Well, we outnumber you, and we're pissed. Both of us. Honestly, form of, shape of. I mean, if you guys grew up with Scooby and Shaggy and all of those people, you know what I'm talking about. The Wonder Twins. It's ridiculous. Freaking ridiculous. What they expect you to believe. They can all suck it. How about that?
Wow.
Doesn't it feel good? Let's go. Give me a... Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I don't see how you get behind this scripted narrative and you don't even change it up. Like, this is plagiarism 101 right now. Scott Jennings' tweet yesterday. I spoke to my old friend Mitch McConnell this morning, the senior senator from Kentucky. He's still recovering in the hospital. We talked for just shy of 20 minutes about Iran, Ukraine, the unfolding situation in Maine, my visit to the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library, and even a little bit of Senate history. I told him we want to see him back at work as soon as possible. 12 million views. The comments freaking blistering. Thomas Massey. What? He comes out of nowhere. Here's his tweet. I spoke to McConnell for about 20 minutes this morning. Really? He said we should end the war with Iran, quit giving aid to Israel, stop spying on Americans without a warrant, and he's really sorry about how my primary turned out. Really? Okay. Now, Senator John Barrasso. Well, apparently he talked to him too. Majority Whip. Not him saying this, but some unnamed staffer, which is interesting. Senator Barrasso and Senator McConnell had a lengthy conversation early this afternoon. Their phone call lasted roughly 20 minutes. Really? Senator McConnell was fully engaged and is eager to get back to the Senate. I'm sorry. No. That's absolutely ridiculous. All of them say the same damn thing. And the Thomas Massey card is intriguing. We'll ruminate on that coming up in a little bit. But I want to read you what Laura Loomer posted, all right? Laura Loomer, she's in the MAGA sphere. Well, if you're not in the Make America Great Again sphere, why not? You don't want to make America great again? You want to make America suck again? Like what? Like that's some kind of bad moniker. She's in the MAGA sphere. This is what she writes. We spent 4 years calling out the Democrats for covering up Joe Biden's mental decline. And now Republicans are doing the same for Senator Mitch McConnell, who is brain dead. Mitch McConnell was found unconscious in his home on June 14th. He was reportedly in cardiac arrest. And there is verified audio circulating of a 911 call where emergency services were requested at his home in D.C. on June 14th. The same day his staff confirmed he was hospitalized. On that call, you can hear the operator say a man at Mitch McConnell's home was found unconscious, in cardiac arrest, and that CPR was being given. That means Senator McConnell needed to be resuscitated. That's the whole purpose of CPR. Once a person goes into cardiac arrest, it cuts off blood and oxygen to the brain, which causes brain cell injury or death, known as hypoxic ischemic brain injury. McConnell was found unconscious, and nobody is telling us how long he was unconscious for. We talked about this yesterday. If he was unconscious for more than 5 minutes, he 100% has severe brain damage and is a vegetable. A person is usually pronounced completely brain dead if they're unconscious and in cardiac arrest for more than 10 minutes. CPR on an 84-year-old man is very dangerous and likely broke all of Mitch McConnell's ribs. Giving CPR to an 84-year-old man can be life-saving, but it comes with significant challenges. Survival rates to hospital discharge for this age group, roughly 15%, because older bodies are frail, vigorous chest compressions often cause severe physical trauma, including broken ribs or a sternum, and a prolonged recovery process and permanent physical injuries. It is 100% confirmed by the 911 audio that McConnell was given CPR. This would mean he is on oxygen in the hospital, and any strain on his lungs or chest would impact the ability for his ribs to heal. There is no way an 84-year-old man who was given CPR following a cardiac arrest did 2 hours of back-to-back phone calls with U.S. Senators and Scott Jennings. A broken or bruised rib makes it painful to expand your chest, and it makes speaking difficult because talking requires controlled breathing, which can trigger sharp stabbing pain. When a person has a rib injury, breathing or speaking deeply can be very uncomfortable. People with broken ribs find themselves taking shorter, shallower breaths or avoiding conversation simply to manage the pain. McConnell's doctors would never allow him to be on back-to-back phone calls for 2 to 3 hours. It would severely damage his ability to recover 3 weeks after he was found unconscious and in cardiac arrest. His oxygen levels also wouldn't be high enough to talk that long. I'm not a doctor, but I'm married to one. I don't know if this is true or not, but you know that if you're down and you're not breathing, you're brain dead in a matter of minutes. We're being lied to, Laura Loomer writes, because some rhinos don't want the Save America Act to pass. And they would be more than happy if Kentucky's Democrat Governor Andy Beshear was able to appoint McConnell's replacement so Democrats could move to impeach President Trump and further block the Save America Act. This is a massive cover-up, she writes. President Trump, they are trying to screw you. The rhinos want the Save America Act and our country to die alongside Mitch McConnell. And she posts on her site the audio of the 911 call. Now, this just in from the office of the governor from the Commonwealth of Kentucky. This is Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky, to Mitch McConnell. Dear Senator McConnell, over the last several weeks, Kentuckians have grown increasingly concerned about the current state of your health and well-being and the ability to hold office in the United States Senate. As governor, I request that you fully update Kentuckians regarding the current status of your health. As public office holders, we've made a commitment to our constituents to do our best to represent them and to always be transparent. I believe this requires clear communication about one's ability to serve. We wish you a safe and speedy recovery. Sincerely, Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky. Okay, so whom do you believe? We'll have Capitol Hill's response to Mitch McConnell's medical emergency because it feels super coordinated too. You decide for yourself next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. She brings up good points. Look, I think Laura Loomer, like most people, have gone off the deep end. You know? Uh-oh. I can't get through it. Oh. Oh, that's why. But I find it interesting that we're all just supposed to believe what's being told of us. How about a big fat no? There we go. A big fat no. That's what I'm going to say. And it makes me angry that I have to go to the defense of these other people because what they're saying is absolutely spot on. Look, I want my side to win. I want to win. I want to win, and I want to pulverize people who want to hurt people and who want to make America suck. I do. But I'm not willing to go over certain lines. I don't know. Maybe that makes me naive. I don't know. Let us talk. Seriously, why we're using Sniper now? Why are we cleaning it up? I can do this later. Why are we in here doing this now?
So it doesn't get sticky. Just gonna let it sit.
Disinfectwithsniper.com. Disinfectwithsniper.com. It's what we're using when we have mistakes. Disinfect, literally all of that. Yeah. See ya from this. and it's so safe. You could spray it in your face. You could spray it in your eyes. I wouldn't recommend it, but you could, and you wouldn't hurt. The stuff is amazing. Disinfectwithsniper.com. When you buy this, you're going to be annoyed if you don't get the gallon jug that comes with it. So you might, you need to get more because you're going to use it up. That I will guarantee. Disinfectwithsniper.com. I'm going to put up my 250th flag.
Well, funny you mentioned that.
Oh.
I got a text this morning.
Oh.
He only has a few left, and he's putting them on clearance for $25, $24.99. He told me you guys bought over 250th flag.
What?
Yeah. He said.
What's my cut?
He said.
Why didn't we do the whole percentage profit sharing thing with that guy?
I tried. He said that. I said, well, how many did you order? He's like 300.
Mm-hmm. So he has some left over.
He has some left over.
They were $100.
Well, that was for the. I don't think he has any of the big ones.
All right,
left,
so he's got the ones that are $59.99.
Yeah.
So they're going to be.
So they're $24.99 now, I believe.
If you want a 250 flag, hey, it never goes out of style, is what I'm going to say. I'm putting mine up.
20 left, he said.
I bet you we can sell those out by 1 o'clock. Wow. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Disinfectwithsniper.com. They're limited inventory, so if you want to get one before it's all done, hop on it now and get some freaking sniper. I mean, honestly, because I know you guys hear me talking about it and you're like, enough with the sniper. No, never enough with the sniper. I used it this morning on the powder room. It's perfect. So good. Let's see how you guys are doing. I'm going to read you what the Daily Caller has Capitol Hill's response to Mitch McConnell. And it sure just does sound so freaking scripted, right? Interesting that over there on the left, you've got Graham Plattner and his situation, right? And they're all about pretending to be virtuous. It's not about virtue. It's not about character. It's not about morals. It's not about all of the things that you teach your children. All the ways to behave when nobody's watching. Yeah, it's none of that for the Democrats. It's about the polling. That's it. That's all that matters. Okay. I don't know. Maybe Republicans are the same. Probably. I don't know. I just don't want a scumbag. So, right? I mean, they said that George Santos was a scumbag, and so he got booted. Or George Santos was onto what they were doing and couldn't be bribed. I don't know. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. I will just say when a commercial came up during the Pirates game, and it was Diane Ireland with her Pittsburghese, which is fantastic. And she was talking about roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, gutters, downspouts, all of it, windows. And then she's like, and decks. I was like, what? Decks? Oh, yeah. Beautiful. So if you live in Southwestern land before time, at least there's a benefit, and that's because you have Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Who did Dan Bongino call out yesterday? He called somebody out. Somebody will know. I forget. All right, let's see what we got going on here. 141 comments. Holy Moses. Thank you. How you doing? My 28-year-old son moved out. Right? Which kid did not get some gift as a child that was, whether it was how to juggle, how to do a sleight of hand, here's a card trick. And if you've ever watched somebody try to do it, it's so bad because they can't pull off the trick. That's what we're watching. We're watching a really bad magician who thinks that you don't see the string that's connected to the thing that they're levitating, right? I don't see the woman who's curled up on one side of the box as they slice through it, right? That's what they're giving us. It's ridiculous. So let's talk. We're gonna have two tiers of this. We're gonna rail on the Republicans first because everything that they're talking about is so ridiculous. You know what solves this controversy over Mitch McConnell? Seeing him. Take a picture. Take a timestamp. Proof of life video. It's very basic. It's 30 seconds. If he's jibberjaw, snap a picture. Cha-ching. There you go. Now, can everybody please zip it? See, they don't do that because they can't do that. And so this excuse mill and this really Bush League propaganda operation comes out of nowhere, and they're all saying the same things. It's preposterous, right? End it by just showing us he's alive. Push him down if he's not ready to be discharged, push him down the hallway. He's already been riding around in a wheelchair. Wouldn't be off-putting. Take a picture of him, of a nurse, and he communicating like he did for a couple hours, allegedly yesterday. This is what the Daily Caller says about the Republicans' efforts to spin this into something that doesn't smell like a huge turd pie. Email suggests Mitch McConnell health response is a coordinated effort. No duh. Right? Republican Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell's office sent an email Tuesday that included a compilation of statements from senators and acquaintances claiming they spoke to the former majority leader for similar lengths of time and discussed related topics. Why would you do that? That's like saying we've got 17 Nobel laureates in economics. They all agree. It's like 51 former law enforcement people, right? Former officials with the FBI and DOJ, what have you. They all said that laptop, that's a Russian plant. You don't have to worry. Why are you giving us a list of people who all say the same thing? Because you're freaking lying. Did I make that abundantly clear? Of course. I will literally fall out of my chair and pass out if I ever see Mitch McConnell again. Truly. McConnell's office provided no new details on his health despite his nearly month-long hospitalization. Several of McConnell's colleagues and acquaintances included Senate Majority Leader John Thune. CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings made similar statements about McConnell after McConnell's staff later shared in an email obtained by the Daily Caller News Foundation. As the senator continues to recover, from what? From what? You don't even know what happened to him. What happened? To recover from what? Scott Jennings didn't ask. Really? Really? If my good friend and mentor was calling me, I'd be like, dude, what's wrong? Are you okay? What happened? Do you need anything? Let me come visit you. And sincerely, I would want to. Now, no, we talked about Ukraine. Really? It's just the dumbest thing. I'm going to read more of this, but I want to play Matt Gaetz had on Desiree Townsend last night. She's a reporter who's been breaking the story. She's at the hospital. She got the 911 call. And Matt Gaetz is like, walk us through this call at McConnell's house. Who found the senator unconscious? How did this play out? Listen.
I believe Capitol Police may have, his own security detail may have found him. He was found approximately, I believe, around 8:30 a.m. The dispatcher, I believe it was 8:36 a.m. when they are reporting that he is in cardiac arrest. So it's approximately around 8:30 a.m. Someone calls, most likely Capitol Police security detail, as they find him. He's found unconscious. That's the first EMS dispatch. And then once the paramedics arrive, they find him needing CPR and in cardiac arrest. And so that's on June 14th. This is the interesting thing. So Elaine Chao, Mitch McConnell's wife, she had this pre-planned trip to China. She went to a Shanghai university, the university that her father attended or was enrolled in back in the 1940s. So she's scheduled there on June 12th. June 14th, Senator McConnell has this cardiac event. And then you would presume if your husband had such a event, you would fly immediately back to the United States.
I would hope my wife would.
I would, I would fly back to my husband's bedside. But instead, 3 days later, she takes a meeting with the vice president of China. Meanwhile, none of us that week knew what happened to him. I had asked everyone around Capitol Hill, the senators, have you heard anything?
No, China. Okay, so that's interesting. Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso and Scott Jennings, claimed Tuesday that they spoke to McConnell for roughly 20 minutes about a variety of political topics, including the Maine Senate race and the Iran war. Senator Barrasso and Senator McConnell had a lengthy conversation early this afternoon. Barrasso's comms director told the Daily Caller their call lasted roughly 20 minutes. I mean, like, come on. Come on, they caught up about the latest news impacting Senate races, right? Talked about their favorite sushi. Made that up. And then, of course, Scott Jennings. I just spoke to my old friend. Stop it. Stop it. So Matt Gaetz comes back and he asks the reporter again. He's like, look, she says, I tried to get anybody on Capitol Hill. Anybody. Tell me what is going on. If McConnell is just fine, where is his public statement? His public statement. Him. Listen.
Leader Thune on the 15th, the day after this cardiac event that was reported through the dispatch audio, says he's had a conversation with Senator Mitch McConnell. And so that's where it gets a little odd. And we're trying to all piece this together because the statements coming from his office, the staffers, from Thune, from others are not aligning with everything we've seen, listened to in the EMS dispatch audio, and also seen over the past 3 weeks. If he has been conscious and capable of talking, why has he not issued a statement until his wife returned 2 days ago? And now we get all these statements saying, oh, I spoke with him and he's fine.
She's a lot more judicious in her reporting because I'd be like, dude, he's dead. Right? I'd be like, I don't know. One thing puts this to bed, and it's a picture of him, a video of him, sight of him, anything. They can't. So with no picture, no video of him at all, not even basic questions from people close to him. Like, hey, what happened to you? Here's Scott Jennings last night on CNN, and he's breaking it on CNN. Yeah, he just called me. Mitch McConnell, he just called me. Why in the Sam Hill would Mitch McConnell? Honestly, if he's in the hospital and he's sick enough to be there for 3 weeks, what makes him be like, you know what? I really wonder how that Scott Jennings is doing. Let's find out. I mean, really? So this is how Scott tried to play it off. Let's go.
Yeah, he called me this morning before I did my radio show. We talked for about 17 minutes. He talked a lot about the situation with Iran, talked a little bit about Ukraine and what's going on in Europe. I told him I'd been to the Teddy Roosevelt Library. We talked a little bit about the history of the vice presidency and how Roosevelt had transformed that in the modern presidency, a little history of the Senate. I mean, it was a wide-ranging conversation. I talked to him often. I hadn't talked to him since he'd been in. I'd gotten a few text messages from him, but I hadn't spoken to him. So it was good to hear his voice. Voice sounded strong and sounded like he was keeping up with the news to me.
Did you ask him how he was feeling?
Yeah, he said he was feeling okay, obviously well enough to call me on the phone and obviously well enough to talk to Barrasso and Thune. Now, look, I'm not qualified to discuss any medical issues or give you any information about that. That's really for him or his staff to do. But, I talk to him from time to time, and I see him from time to time. And, we had a conversation today about the things that we normally talk about, which are news of the day, political stuff.
Did you come away feeling like he's still capable of serving the people of Kentucky as senator?
I came away feeling that he was staying on top of the news. Again, I look, his condition and why he's in the hospital or when he might come out or look, that's.
Do you know why and are just saying it's not at liberty to share?
I do not know why. I only know, frankly, what has been reported or what his office has said. So it was a personal, private call, but I didn't probe him too deeply for his medical records.
Well, I sure hope Scott Jennings doesn't think he's a journalist, because question number one is, what the hell happened? Right? But instead, he's like, well, I'm going to talk about Teddy Roosevelt and his library. Are you out of your mind? And you're supposed to believe this. Then the host, who I'm totally tracking with, I'm like, yeah, babe, keep going. She, like us, would like proof of life.
Do you think he'd be willing to call into the show? Could we get him on the phone now?
You know, I wasn't really expecting him to call this morning, to be honest. So when the phone rang and I was able to talk to him, I was frankly pretty grateful. I mean, as I said, I've known him since I was a teenager. If it hadn't been for Mitch McConnell and the McConnell Center at the University of Louisville, you know, I would never have been able to go to college. He's been my mentor and he changed the trajectory of my life. So, you know, when things happen to him and happen to people in your life that you really care about, you know, you just sort of naturally feel extremely worried. So when I heard his voice today and he was clearly keeping up with stuff, that made me happy to hear from him, because like everybody else, I've been, you know, somewhat in the dark about it. But to hear him talking and to know that he's also talking to the Senate leadership, it made me pretty happy.
There's so much to say. I mean, there's so much to say. 17 minutes. You know the phone call lasted 17 minutes, but you didn't ask him what happened. I'm like, am I missing something?
I'll just say this. When I had my car accident, one of the first things you said, "Are you okay?" And then you asked me what happened. Logically.
And if he wants to be can you imagine being the dude who drops the deets on what happened to him? Yeah, he told me. So he went down. He had this and this and that. You would break the story. Instead, you're going to dance around the fire and pretend that we're not paying attention because the smoke is getting in our eyes. There's one more clip. You know, conservative media aren't dropping this. So why not just put out a picture or a video to prove he's fine? Cassie Hunt is like, the magosphere is like a dog on a bone with this story. So why don't you just put out a picture of the dude and put it to rest? Bing, 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 bing.
Do you think they should put out a picture of Mitch McConnell, that he should release more to the public to quiet this noise?
Yeah, I think Al had a good point about McConnell's general disposition towards privacy. I sometimes wonder, like, if I were laying in a hospital bed, would I want a bunch of people around photographing me? Probably not, particularly if I were an 84-year-old person who's normally private about his health. Probably not. But I take the criticism. I think it's a fair question about transparency. I think it's a fair question about whether they've done enough. But ultimately, these office holders, you know, they're in charge of their own operations. And you know, it may be somebody around him says, let's put out a picture, and he doesn't want to do it. I think that's a fair observation from Al. But all I can tell you today is all the rumors about him being dead or brain dead, or, you know, his body's being hidden somewhere. I've seen all kinds of crazy things on the internet. That's obviously not true, because he picked up the phone and called me, and that was a good thing.
You know what I want to ask too of Scott Jennings? Did you ask him something that only the real Mitch McConnell would know? Look, they've been doing with Mission Impossible movies for 20 years. How long have we had technology that's been able to sound like someone else? Right? I'm sorry, it doesn't pass the smell test. When we come back, is the GOP covering up McConnell's incapacity to avoid a special election? Let's chew on that together next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Come on. Then he goes into some emotional thing about how he's my mentor. So, what happened to him? You've given us nothing except one detail. 17 minutes. It's an odd thing. It's an odd thing that everybody has a time frame. Because when I talked to Brock after his accident, I wasn't looking at my watch. I wasn't like,
I didn't
okay,
pick
so
up
tell
my
me
phone
what's
and go,
going on.
How long was that call?
Why would you?
I wouldn't.
Why would you?
My
whole
response would be
thing
like, how
is-
long did you talk to Wendy? I don't know, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes
Whole
maybe.
thing is preposterous. Preposterous.
When they
You
start
know
giving
what?
you details that are
Unnecessary. But it's a little bit of extra. That means they're freaking lying to you because they can't give you the basic who, what, when, where, why, and how. Shoot, give me 3 of those. What?
Just give me so what happened? You'd be like, oh man, I passed out and
I don't know. Maybe Scott's not enough of a conspiracy guy. I'm not a conspiracy person, but I just trust no one. So, right?
we talked about the Teddy Road library.
Do you know what hand gesture I want to say to that one?
Yeah.
I want to read you something that came from my friend Diane. I've read it before, and I read it every now and again, but I love it. Where did she go? I didn't put it in here. Hold on. I've had hand tremors. This is Simkovich Concussion Institute in Pittsburgh. 412-366-3700. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. It's not just for traumatic brain injury, concussion, and the like. It's not just for people who get hurt in accidents, fall off roofs, or get hit in football games. It's for everyday people who have other problems, chronic headaches. An essential tremor is something that I asked Dr. Simkovich if he would look at our friend Diane and see if he could help. And he did. And she says, look, I'd had hand tremors for more than 30 years, got used to it. Then my friend Wendy, right? She was like, hey, I think maybe Dr. Simkovich can help you out. So about a month later, that same friend offered to connect me to Dr. Simkovich. For 5 years, I've heard her speak of him, but never thought it would apply to me. After trying medication with no results, I didn't believe there was any help left. Wendy got the ball rolling, and before I knew it, I was meeting with Dr. Simkovich for a consultation. He believed he could help me. On the first day of my 4-day treatment, I felt the weight of the tremors released into calmness. I walked out of there that day with a completely different feeling. No joke. I hopped. After completing the treatment, I've experienced a 75 to 80% improvement. My hope is that my story helps others recognize that there is hope. And then says she truly enjoyed meeting Dr. Simkovich, getting to know his staff. It's worth the phone call. It's worth having hope. 412-366-3700. It's worth it. Simkovich. Just the way it sounds, concussioninstitute.com. I love that she's honest. She's not like, I'm perfect. She didn't think she was going to be perfect. But maybe now she can put on lipstick, right? Without looking like the woman on Airplane when they hit the turbulence. Sorry. Okay. Oh, Scott. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It just does not, none of this adds up.
The math isn't math.
It just doesn't work for me, guys. Look, I'm a terrible liar. Terrible liar. I think I can gauge some people and their lies. I'm not so sure Scott Jennings is knowingly lying. I think he got snookered. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So you think Scott Jennings then is purposefully being deceitful when he says these things, Brock?
I mean, obviously I can't say for sure, but
your gut.
My gut says that someone asked Scott because he's the only one he called. Like, why isn't anyone else speaking? And the only way they can get to the masses were people who trust. No one trusts a politician. They like Scott Jennings. They trust Scott Jennings. People tune in to hear what Scott
He's
Jennings
the right person to use as a grease for the skid, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't add up, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't pass the smell test at all in any way. And they don't care that you think that. So what's the story? Is the GOP possibly stalling? Is there a stalled date? There is, in fact. And I believe it's August 3rd. I think that's the date that this either McConnell has to be replaced or this or that. Anonymous, the great videos from deepfake quotes on X, is saying this is the Kentucky has this law. If a senator dies, this is the process by which the person is replaced. Here you go.
There have been rumors about Senator Mitch McConnell's health. We're not here to report rumors. We're here to ask a different question. What happens if a United States Senator from Kentucky dies in office? So we decided to read the law. Here's what we found. A few years ago, Kentucky law allowed the governor to appoint a temporary replacement. That law is gone. Today, the governor can no longer appoint a U.S. Senator. Instead, Kentucky law requires the governor to issue a proclamation calling a special election. So far, simple. But then we kept reading. The law tells us how much notice must be given before that election. It tells us when candidates must file. It tells us how the winner takes office. But something surprising is missing. We haven't found where the current law says when the governor must issue that proclamation. Immediately? Within a certain number of days? Before the next general election? We haven't found it. Yet. And that's the question, because timing determines when Kentucky regains its second senator. And in a closely divided Senate, timing can matter. My friends, we are all anonymous.
Interesting point Anonymous makes. Timing. Well, Robbie Suave, senior producer of Reason Magazine, he did a little video yesterday. He says, actually, we do have a date, and the date to focus on is August 3rd. Listen.
McConnell is retiring, and the standard election to replace him will happen in November. It's already squared away. A Republican, Andy Barr, versus a Democrat, Charles Booker. Barr is supported by the Republican establishment and is overwhelmingly likely to win since Kentucky is a Republican state. But that's November. What if, God forbid, McConnell didn't make it until then? Well, in that case, Kentucky would have to hold a special election to fill the seat. Kentucky is one of a handful of states in which the governor can't just appoint a temporary replacement. They would need to schedule a special election. And anybody could file to run as an independent in that election, including Thomas Massie. But here's the catch. This only applies if it became clear that McConnell needed to be replaced before the cutoff date of August 3rd. After August 3rd, there will be no special election, even if McConnell is out early. At that point, the seat would simply be empty, and McConnell's replacement would be determined via the normal November election. And it's too late for Massie or anyone else to run as an independent in that race. So to make a long story short, if the Republican establishment wants to block Massie from running for the seat, they need McConnell to hold out until August 3rd.
Right? And so you got two heads of the same snake. The rhino class, the establishment class, is trying to determine what to do with McConnell's seat. Who do they want there? I would imagine somebody who doesn't like Trump or who's not going to vote for the Save America Act. It's all boiling down to that, ladies and gentlemen. This is what it is. This is the shiny metal object, the Save America Act. Because once you prevent people from voting in our elections, I think we're going to find out how few Democrats truly have actually been voted in. Quite a few Republicans, too, I would imagine. And so over on the other side, you have the DNC pulling the rug out from the feet of all the Democrats who chose Graham Plattner. And they're like, yeah, that's great and all, but no. In fact, we're not going to do that. This is how you get factions of pissed off people. And I'm one of them. When we come back, hour number 2, how 2 minutes on live television may have ended Scott Jennings' career, or at least his credibility, next on the Wendy Bell radio program. I think they would love to have Thomas Massie come in, the Rhinos. They would love that. You kidding me? That's the ultimate revenge tour. That would be wild. And they'd be stuck with him for 6 years. We'll see what happens. Unless, of course, well, I don't even know. I don't even know how this is going to work out. But it's all a shell game. They're moving things around because of polling and because of this and that. That's the Plattner move. And then what's going on with Mitch McConnell, they're trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do. And as we know, nothing happens quickly.
Well, especially when you go on recess every other week.
That's true. Okay, so Kelly Morgan at Morgane's Fitness, you've heard me talk about her 90 Ignite program, and this is 90 days. You're like, look, I'm going to give you 3 months of my dedication. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get my steps. I'm going to get my cardiovascular stuff going. I'm going to eat the right foods, and I'm going to start exercising, right? What does that mean? This is where Kelly Morgan comes in. Badass mom, entrepreneur, Air Force veteran, fantastic woman. She's like, look, I'll put together videos of the various exercises you're supposed to do, and I'll tell you how to do them, how often you do them, the intervals, how regularly, et cetera, et cetera. I'll give you the plan, right? You do the work. That's the 90-day Ignite program that she's offering for $99 for the Wendy Bell Radio family right now at 1. She gives you the plan. You don't get that one-on-one interaction with her unless you want to do the 90 Ignite full-time. If you just rather the plan, $99. It's a pretty good deal. moregainsfitness.com. I love it. I think it's great. Fantastico. Yeah, I don't understand what's going on with all this, but it's absolutely up to no good. That much we know, right? None of this is good. Our numbers are weird today. 4372. Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for finding us here on Rumble. Thank you. Thank you. After 1 hour, we're at 1.59 Rumbles. That is terrific. Thank you for that. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. That's the little thumbs up underneath the video box. Also, all of our sponsors are listed there. Even some, I think, that have drifted away that we really like still. Right? And let's see, over here on comments, how are you guys? 170. This is a great one. Somebody wrote something about Sniper, Brock, that you're going to love. Let's see. It was about somebody whose son had finally moved out. This is one. I love Sniper. This is Hanson 56. I love Sniper. I've gone through 2 gallons, 2 spray bottles, and keep a mini spray bottle in my purse. And I keep it refilled. I use it to clean my hands rather than the soap in the public restrooms. It's great, easy, and doesn't irritate my skin. I love Sniper. Thanks, Tina from Ohio. And there was another one which was fan-flippin-tastic. Oh, Dan Bongino called out Tucker. Thanks, Kimberly. I knew somebody would get it. This is it from Greta Baum. My 28-year-old son moved out. He called that room home for 28 years. I sprayed Sniper around in there, and it freshened it right up. Personal testimony. That stuff is amazing. I love it.
It's great for dog beds.
Hi, Mama Lisa. Listening in North Central Wisconsin. Hi, Texas, Martin Smith. Yeah, Laura Loomer has a lot of deep knowledge, Jan OT says. I don't disagree, but you know, it's sort of like the guy Jake Lang. Is that his name?
Yes.
So he was a January 6er. He came on this program and told us about what was going on as he was incarcerated, which we found very curious. I always thought it was weird that he was able to communicate with us on just a random phone, but okay. And he went and kind of inserted himself in the Austin Metcalf.
He inserts himself in every story.
In the Austin Metcalf story with Carmelo Anthony, and there was no room for that. There was no need for that. You have a community that's reeling, a dead kid, another kid who's now going to lose his life, essentially, going to get thrown away forever. And then he inserted himself, and I was like, no, I 86'd that, and I walked away from that. Like, a lot of people walked away from Laura Loomer because she did some weird.
But she doesn't really insert herself in a lot of the stories. Mm-hmm. She does in some of them, and she gets a lot of backlash, so she becomes part of the story. But she doesn't do that all the time. A lot of times, she's just talking about things, and I think she probably has a ton of contacts.
I would imagine you're correct. Goody says, say something nice to Wendy. Aw, that's awful nice.
Who?
Anybody. Not you, but.
No one says ever says say something nice about Brock.
I like your thumbnails better. I don't like AI. Just going to call it for what it is. Right? Anybody? I do have jungle hair today. Holy mackerel.
I think AI does a good job. Basically, you know.
I'm trying to see if there's anything fresh out there on the McConnell thing.
I haven't seen anything.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
If you don't use your newfound power, it simply evaporates. It degrades. What's the point? It doesn't grow because nobody becomes afraid of you because you're not using your power. The Democrats invested in Obamacare to the expense of losing the presidency in the House and the Senate. Their return on this is the creation of the belief in the minds of the public that only the government can run things in exchange for this huge leap forward in their agenda. The Republicans simply don't do anything like this. The Republicans, whether they win or lose, are not trying to advance it. That's why Trump was the nominee, and that's why Trump is elected president. The Republican Party used to be the opposition of the Democrats, and it used to be the small government, small taxes, individual liberty party. That's what it was known for. Even before you began talking about conservatism, that's what the party was known for. It's been a long time.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. WendyBellRadio.com if you want to join the live video stream and chat. Glad to have you always. You know, every now and again, I take a pause and I take a look back on how I feel about certain things, how I respond to certain things, what I believe, what I don't. And Brock can attest, I will usually run it by him because he spends the most time listening to me as we plan the show every day. And what I usually say is, I want to make sure I'm not part of the problem. I want to make sure that I'm not brainwashed, that I'm not the one who's been fooled, that I'm not pushing something that's not true, that's somehow disingenuous. I want to make sure I'm not part of the problem. And when you're strong in your beliefs and you do what I do for a living and you talk about it every day, there's a responsibility I feel to you. And I say to him, I don't know how it normally goes, Brock, but it's usually like.
Usually it's, am I wrong? Am I in a bubble here? Am I only seeing one side?
That's how I approach what we do here every day. And so while I come out and I tell you I'm biased, and I am, I also want to be fair. And if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong about Mitch McConnell. I just don't. And I think most people out there feel the same way. It's too ridiculous. And by the way, it's a human being. I've never liked Mitch McConnell. I'm not going to sit here and celebrate him if he's brain dead or if he's dead. But we're very basic people. If you represent us, do so. And be honest. We don't get that. Scott Jennings yesterday, though, on a segment that, a different segment than the one we've been playing for you, was on another panel. I think, is this the Laura Coates one? I think he was on one of the evening shows last night on CNN. And I want you to hear exactly what was said, because I find myself, and I 100% take the side of this Democrat woman. This is a woman who served as a deputy spokesperson for the Pentagon, former deputy Pentagon press secretary, okay, under Joe Biden. She worked for Lloyd Austin, this woman. Her name is Sabrina Singh, and she's part of this panel with Scott Jennings. And I want to play the whole exchange for you because she calls out what she sees as a very hypocritical behavior from Scott Jennings, who was up in arms over Lloyd Austin, needing whatever surgery he had prostate, whatever it was that he had, and I forget what the story was. Nobody knew he was AWOL from the Pentagon. For a whole week, he was gone. And even Joe Biden wasn't told that his Secretary of Defense was having some medical procedure. We weren't told. Why? Right? And Scott Jennings railed on that. But Sabrina Singh points out, and she's correct. Now that it's your friend, your mentor, fellow conservative, Senator Mitch McConnell, you don't have the same outrage and the same glasses through which you see this situation. So we're going to play the whole clip. It's only about 1:24. And then I'm going to break it up between what she says and how he answers. And the goal of this exercise is for me to make sure I'm not living in a weird bubble. Do you hear what I hear? Here's the whole clip again. This is Scott Jennings last night, CNN, with former Deputy Pentagon Press Secretary Sabrina Singh.
We've been on multiple shows together where you have brought up Secretary Austin's hospitalization when I was in the administration, and you were very critical of us on the handling, and the secretary, of his handling and you were incredibly critical of him not being transparent with the American people and the public about his condition. And I find it just so interesting that you're not being critical of a sitting senator who represents the state of Kentucky not being transparent with his constituents. He's been able to call Thune, Barrasso, and you, but we have no idea why he's hospitalized. But you were so critical of Secretary Austin, who did disclose why he was hospitalized, and was for 5 days. We are at almost a month, and we have no idea why Mitch McConnell has been hospitalized, and you're not being critical. You're not concerned by that?
Well, of course, I'm concerned about my friend. I've known him since I was 16 years old. So if you're asking me if I'm concerned, if you want to be ornery and mean about me being concerned about my friend, you're welcome to do it. He's not the head of the United States Armed Forces who apparently went AWOL while he was Secretary of Defense.
He is the U.S. Senator for your home state.
And do you think
your home state, for the people, they don't deserve?
You don't see the difference in those two positions?
There is no difference. They are elected to public office.
No difference.
There is no difference. They should be held to the same exact standard. Okay. Secretary Austin did disclose his condition. Mitch McConnell one more.
Okay, so how did you read that? How did that hit you? Because I just watched that, listened to that, and I feel like in this instance, the Democrat and the Republican switched roles. He became personal. He made it personal. He made it feelings oriented. This is a personal situation. And then he called her out for being mean. She was like, look, I'm just looking at the situation, and you were way different before. Let's listen to her part again. She's saying, why aren't you showing us the facts? Why didn't you ask these basic questions? Like, what the heck happened to you, Senator? What happened to you? Why is he in the hospital for so long? Don't you see how fishy this is to America? Sabrina Singh.
We've been on multiple shows together where you have brought up Secretary Austin's hospitalization when I was in the administration, and you were very critical of us on the handling, and the secretary, of his handling and you were incredibly critical of him not being transparent with the American people and the public about his condition. And I find it just so interesting that you're not being critical of a sitting senator who represents the state of Kentucky not being transparent with his constituents. He's been able to call Thune, Barrasso, and you, but we have no idea why he's hospitalized. But you were so critical of Secretary Austin, who did disclose why he was hospitalized, and was for 5 days. We are at almost a month, and we have no idea why Mitch McConnell has been hospitalized, and you're not being critical. You're not concerned by that?
I totally agree with her. 100%. She's the Democrat. I 100% agree with her. Your feelings aside, why don't we know anything? Why didn't you ask any serious questions? Why do we have no answers? What's up with the mystery? And then he pivots, becomes a liberal, and channels his emotions.
Well, of course, I'm concerned about my friend. I've known him since I was 16 years old. So if you're asking me if I'm concerned, if you want to be ornery and mean about me being concerned about my friend, you're welcome to do it. He's not the head of the United States Armed Forces who apparently went AWOL while he was Secretary of Defense.
He is the U.S. Senator for your home state.
And do you think
your home state, for the people, they don't deserve?
You don't see the difference in those two positions?
There is no difference. They are elected to public office.
No difference.
There is no difference. They should be held to the same exact standard.
It's a bad look. It's a bad look for Scott Jennings. I'm sorry. I don't care about your personal relationship. How did you get zero information out of that phone call? Zero. And then he calls her ornery and mean because she's illustrating the hypocrisy. You were upset that Lloyd Austin's surgery was kept under wraps, but you're not at all seeing the double standard as you defend your friend and mentor, Mitch McConnell. It's a bad look. And I don't like defending people who I normally would not get into bed with. But she's right. And here's the only thing I can think of. Either he's onto it, either he knows, and they dialed him in, whomever they are, Rhino class, deep state, our side of the snake, and said, look, we got to get to this August 3rd thing or we're going to get Thomas Massey. We can't have that. We got to pass the Save America Act. We have to do this. Please help us. So he keeps it relatively vague. Or he's being absolutely played. He's being played. He alleges that he spoke with Mitch McConnell. I hope he's not lying about that. I can't imagine he would. But it wasn't Mitch McConnell. I don't know. Either way, it's a bad look. And one thing fixes all of this. Proof of life. Proof of life. It's like showing us your ballots in Fulton County. Let's put this bad boy to bed. No. Why? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the surprising similarities between Mitch McConnell and Iran's critically wounded and possibly even dead junior Ayatollah. It's almost like we're stealing the IRGC's propaganda from them. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Why are you calling me during the show?
None of it makes sense. The only thing that makes sense is he's lying.
Yeah. That's it. I hate saying that.
Yeah, so do I.
I hate saying that, but it's like, how else do you look at it?
Well,
and the things that they talked about were so uninteresting. If you're in the hospital, you're really thinking about Ukraine?
Right.
I'm thinking about Ukraine as much as I'm thinking about Hunter Biden, right? Not ever.
Well, not just that. And to her point, Lloyd Austin, was he pressed to say what he was there for? But guess what he did? I was there for, I think it was prostate cancer.
I think it was.
And all we say, okay, why was Mitch there? Crickets.
He's my friend. If you're going to be ornery and mean about it.
I didn't think she was being ornery or mean.
I didn't think it either.
I think it's a legitimate, why aren't you worried
and that was a bad
I'm worried
look.
about my friend.
I'm sorry, that's a bad look. That's a career buster. However this plays out, that's a freaking career buster.
Well, maybe not at CNN.
Shoot, he'll probably get elevated.
You're right.
Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. How many glasses of water do you drink a day? I don't drink enough. I know I don't. But we have to. That's how we survive, right? If you're already drinking water, why wouldn't you get this healthy fat from Dr. Gundry, put a scoop of it in your drink, and then not be hungry for about 4 or 5 hours? Because that's what I do. And it's a miracle on a shift like this, because I can't sit here and be eating in front of you and be like, so it's hard if you've got tummy grumbles and you're like, wah. It's a wonderful way to lose weight is to not eat. Shocker alert, right? MCT Wellness goes by the name thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Dr. Stephen Gundry lost 70 pounds after he invented it. And he then told his wife, I'm getting out of the cardiothoracic surgeon field. And I'm going to start making people healthier and helping them lose weight and significant weight. And that's how this product was born. That's it. He chucked his medical career surgery-wise and put his eggs in the basket of wellness. Thank God. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. Only if you have significant weight to lose. Well, probably not only if. Even if you had 20 pounds, you'll be like, thank you. 20 pounds is a lot of weight. It's a lot of weight. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. God, I wish I had some coffee.
Would you like me to get you some?
Mm-mm. No. Probably spill it again.
Oh, I smell my hand is coffee.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't want to be. I don't know. I want to be fair.
It's hard to be fair when they're not being fair with you, though.
It's hard to be fair when people aren't honest. Right? I can be fair and you can be unfair. I'll try to be fair. I really want to try to be fair. Unless I want to punch you and throw you down the stairs.
No, but what is it? He had a heart attack. That's not like some HIPAA violation. Like,
I can tell you, I have family connections to this. This story because I have a sister-in-law who suffered sudden cardiac arrest. And by the grace of God and being in the right place at the right time, her life was saved. And she got her heart shocked back into rhythm within that requisite precious time period. My husband, a doctor, knows the guy who runs the ambulance company that handled her call. And he called the ambulance guy and he's like, can you tell me how long she was down? And from that answer, Joe was able to go to my brother-in-law and say, she's going to come out of this unscathed. She's going to be the 1 in 100 who have a sudden cardiac arrest out of the hospital who make it. It is that unusual to survive, right? And then similarly, I have another family member who just had double bypass surgery where they crack open your ribs and then push you back together and zip you back up. She was out of the hospital in a week. Not perfect, not doing, jumping jacks, but home in 1 week. Mitch McConnell's there almost a month. Really? So I started thinking about this weird parallel between what the GOP is pretending is going on with Mitch McConnell and what they handled in Iran after Operation Epic Fury. Remember when Trump dropped the bombs and they took out the high-level cabinet meeting? It was a breakfast meeting. It was a Monday. And they obliterated like 200 people of the highest order, including the Ayatollah, his son, his wife, all these other people, and the Ayatollah Jr., his son, we understood was gravely injured, but not according to the propaganda in Iran. ArabNews.com say he suffered only superficial wounds in that U.S.-Israel strike. We've heard that the Ayatollah, who is ostensibly going to take over Iran, was gravely injured. Might have lost a leg and was, I heard, literally sliced and diced across the middle. They kept him out of sight. No, he's fine. Really? They said he was just needed, literally, this is what the report out of Arab News was. The Ayatollah who lost his wife, his son, his daughter, his mother, his father, all these friends, right? He needed 2 stitches. That's what Arab News was telling us. Meanwhile, nobody has seen him. Nobody has seen this Ayatollah. Nobody knows if he exists. It's like the same thing to me, and that makes me very uncomfortable. Marjorie Taylor Greene said something interesting yesterday, and I think it is germane to this conversation. And she calls out the establishment. She's calling out the snake, not just the right side of it, not just the snake itself, the uniparty establishment, deep state. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene dropping the gloves.
I think it's extremely serious, and I'd like to say shame on the Republican Party for just basically staying silent while such a powerful Republican senator is basically laying in a hospital like a vegetable. Mm-hmm. And his wife flew to China and met with the vice president of China just days after he basically died, and they brought him back with CPR and took him to the hospital. But you know what? It doesn't surprise me from the establishment, because this is what they support.
Interesting. I agree. I might not agree with everything she does or says, but I agree. This is how Arab News told us just a month ago, which was 2 months after Epic Fury ostensibly did grave danger or damage to this Ayatollah Khamenei. An Iranian health ministry official said on Monday that injuries suffered by Supreme Leader Khamenei in U.S.-Israeli strikes in late February were only superficial, offering a rare account of the day he was wounded. The 56-year-old has not appeared publicly since he was named as Iran's Supreme Leader on March 8th, issuing only written statements, fueling speculation about his health. In March, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth claimed he was believed to be alive, wounded, and disfigured. But then this report goes on, no, actually, here's a hospital guy. He's like, no, I was in the ER at the time. And this guy that came in with a bunch of other wounded people, the Ayatollah did. And, he just kind of cleaned him up. And literally, he's great. He had a couple stitches and bada bing, he's off. Literally, it says, from my perspective as a physician, these were not considered serious injuries and required no special procedures apart from 1 or 2 stitches. Now, that's freaking stupid. That's stupid. He killed 200 people and he gets 2 stitches, right? Is this whole cover-up for Mitch McConnell less so? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, my goodness. As the GOP slogs through its Mitch McConnell mess, Democrats get hogtied by a guy with a Nazi tattoo. Oh my gosh, next. I mean, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, it's the same play. It's the same play. We're not going to show you him. He's not going to appear. There'll be some statements. They'll put like a fat head on him or a face on a stick, and people will walk around and be like, here he is, right? No, nothing to see here. He's fine. He's just super duper busy. He's super busy. Well, it's been 4 months. How busy is he? Or is he dead? Right? And they don't want that to get out during this war, yada, yada. Then you've got some power struggle with the IRGC, and they want to continue doing this. And you've got more moderate people there, and there's this infighting, right? If the Ayatollah is dead, everything goes to hell in a handbasket. It's not dissimilar to what's going on. 5,000 miles away here? It's the same thing. It's a really bad cover-up. They need better people. They need Olivia Pope from Scandal. That's all I'm going to say. They need a fixer because the people they have suck. Wind. Bad. Okay. Have you gotten your Blood Flow 7 yet? I think the time beyond all of the times at the gym where my trainer has upped my, the plates on the leg press or whatever I'm doing. Now we're doing, what are we doing? I usually do like 7.5 pound flies or whatever, or lateral raises. And now I'm up to like 10 pounds. That's a lot of weight to go like this with 20 times. You're like, and I'm like, I can do that. That's weird. It's when I went walking in the woods, and Murphy and I go on this trail, and it's a straight shot up. And this time I was right there with him. I walked right up it, and I was like, I was sweating and my heart was pounding, but I wasn't stopping because I couldn't breathe. Blood Flow 7. It's amazing when your blood vessels open up a little bit. They relax a little bit, more blood gets through. It's amazing what your stamina feels like, what you feel like you can do. I'm doing some heavy work in the yard this week. So my Blood Flow 7 is 100%. I'm not kidding. I won't talk to you about products if I don't think they work. And I know that works. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. 30% off everything in the store. So
you were almost right.
Why?
They have 2 flags left.
2 flags.
He just texted me
2
and
flags.
said they found a box. So they sold out of the 20 that they had. And they had another box, so I guess which is 10. And he said they sold through those. So they have 2 left. He's like, and he gets a kick out of stuff like this. And he said, he goes, it all happened within like 4 minutes. I was like, wow. So you guys bought, I want to say, if you had 30, 240 flags. 240. That's nuts. That's nuts.
Reason 11 billion.
11 billion.
11 billion.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. But I love you. 11 billion.
It's stuck on 11 billion though. Like,
okay.
Where do we get 11 billion in one?
540 on X. You know what? I have 2.5.
She's literally running. This Scott Jennings thing, you know, you don't want to think people are lying. But it just doesn't make sense. I had a friend who had a dear friend of his pass. And he told me, and my first question was like, how did he pass? My second question was like, did he have kids? How old were they? Like, it was nothing to do. If it is personal, like Scott Jennings said it was, you're not disclosing what, he had a heart attack and man, I hope he's okay. Heart attacks are serious. Like it just doesn't add up. If this is your friend, you don't care about the Teddy Roosevelt Library. You don't care about Ukraine. If this is, and I'm not saying he's not friends with them, but like your first question is, what happened? How are you doing? Like, how serious is this? Wow. That could be record timing. Did you wash your hands?
I did. Who gave us $20? Froggy. What? Wow. I wrote the White House demanding proof of life as a citizen of Kentucky before August 3rd. Wow. You go, Froggy.
You know what else is bad is like we shouldn't have to ask for these things.
It's just dumb. It's as bad. Everything can be solved by just being open. Give everybody what they want on Epstein. Okay? Give everybody what we want on COVID. Tell us the freaking truth.
Let us figure out if we can handle it or not.
Tell us about the UFOs. Let's think about all of the various ways that we're not being even with or scored or what's the phrase I'm thinking of that they're not being honest with us. They're not being fair with us. And I mean by the Uniparty. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Think about the Clinton Crime Family Foundation. Anything involving Hillary, Crossfire Hurricane, anything dealing with the family, all of that stuff, their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, where they went, what they did with whom, they went through hell to hide that from us. Everything that has to do with COVID. They lied to you about everything. Everything. How about all of the fraud? All of the abuse, USAID, Act Blue, all of the NGOs lied about everything. We just wanted basics. basics during a global pandemic were pretty important. We couldn't get that. We couldn't get anything about Epstein, right? This is why people have such deep anger and distrust in quote unquote the government. I'm not even so sure the people who we elect allegedly to be our 435 House of Representatives folks and the 100 senators. I don't even know if they're in charge, because it seems like there's this dirty ancillary America. Like there's an underground where all of the things are really happening. It's probably where they're trafficking kids. It makes you feel very unsettled. This is what gives rise to movements. This is what makes political parties crash. You start losing your bread and butter base people because they're tired of being lied to. This is a real danger. All of the stories that we would like to know answers to, no, can never find out. I want to talk about Graham Plattner, strong-arming the DNC essentially and holding them hostage, which I think is freaking epic. It's true. They created the idea of somebody who was not the guy that they had purported in any way. He doesn't even resonate with the people they wanted him to resonate with. You know, the good blue-collar worker who didn't go to college. That's the oyster farmer, Graham Plattner's target. That's the bread and butter. That's who we want to attract. Except it looks like he was underwater with them by 21 points. The working class, non-college educated in Maine. Recent polling, right? They told you all these. They looked the other way about everything they created a male Kamala Harris. Essentially what it is. Now, unfortunately, you can put lipstick on, you can put makeup on, you can look gruff with a beard, you can cover up your ink. Whatever you've got to do, you can do. But then ultimately, you got to sell it. Kamala Harris could never sell it because she's an idiot. He's not an idiot. He's got a very interesting position right here, don't you think? So now you have 50 odd Republicans, or rather Democrat senators and representatives who are demanding that Graham Plattner drop out. What kind of leverage do you have? You don't. You go to work. You're one of a few people who do your job, but the consensus in America is you suck, right? Most recent polling shows what? 10%, 8% approval for Congress. I mean, that's an indictment, right? And these people, they think that they have power. They think that they are insulated. They believe that they are above the law, beyond the bounds, special, because they've been allowed to get away with it for so damn long. And then comes this guy who, by all accounts, is nobody you'd want dating your daughter, right? And he's everything that you wouldn't expect people would want. And yet they put all of their eggs in that basket. And now they created Frankenstein. And the storm clouds have rolled in around the castle. And we're starting to see some electricity. Bzzzt. And up he rises. He's not going to give up. He's not going to give in. Why should he give in? Why should he quit this race? And wouldn't it be such a kick in the pants if Graham Plattner beat Susan Collins? Look, Susan Collins is a zero. She is a rhino. She is a drip. There needs to be new blood, period. We can all agree on that. I don't like her any more than the Democrats do. She shows up for every damn vote, though, oftentimes voting the wrong way. Wouldn't that be just a major kick in the stones for the Democrat Party to try to create a star then whether or not they vetted him appropriately, they vet the liver out of these people. I mean, like, come on, right? They knew all of this stuff. But to pull the rug out from the voters' legs and to do another replacement, it's not gonna fly. I think it would be very interesting if enough people got. I certainly don't want to lose another seat in the Senate. Of course not. But what would they do? Honestly, what would you do if you're these? Fox News has one of these boxes behind them. It's big screen. It's like every single picture of all of the Democrat lawmakers who are like, we're calling on him to drop out, do the right thing, step aside, right? And it's like literally 45 or 50 of them. What do they do if he beats Susan Collins? All of a sudden, come on over, Graham. How you doing, old buddy? Can you show me how to shuck? I mean, like, what do you do? What do you do? It's almost like this simulation that we're all watching, because it's so preposterous, is forcing us to see and expose how lame the whole Beltway thing is. It's so lame that you can have legitimately a guy on life support, if he's even alive, and you can protect him and his privacy. He's a very private man. Mitch McConnell, not really big for the lights and cameras. Well, you know what? I'm a public figure, ladies and gentlemen. I have been for the better part of 35 years. The minute you're in the spotlight, it's open season. That's the game. You don't get to put up Nancy Pelosi's fence around you and pretend that you're off limits. No, dude. No. And it's so disrespectful to the American people. They don't care. And you know who's watching? It's not just MAGA on the right paying attention to this. It's not just the other side of the Democratic Socialists or all the people on the left who are so tired of this. It's everybody in the middle, which is the lion's share of this country. Everyone in the middle. Two heads of the same snake. So Democrats have found a replacement for Graham Plattner, apparently. And then they step on a rake with that one. This guy can't make it up. The far-left group Progressive Victory is unveiling a troubling allegation against a potential candidate to replace Democrat Graham Plattner in Maine's U.S. Senate race, alleging that this individual, quote, struck a female colleague with a bottle he threw at her during a disagreement. And it's corroborated by several witnesses. I mean, like, honestly, if anybody with half of a functioning brainstem took a step back, they would find the greatest candidate, if it was possible to replace Plattner, and it's Jared Golden. He's the blue dog Democrat I told you that Joe and I met when we went for a weekend at the Omni Bedford Springs in Bedford, Pennsylvania. And he was there with a handful of other Democrats from the House of Representatives at a blue dog Democrat powwow. A faction within their own party that wasn't going to hook, line, and sinker, rubber stamp everything that the Democrats wanted. And Jared Golden, during his 5 terms, 10 years, and he made a promise to his wife and to their 2 young daughters. This will not be my career. I will do it for 10 years. I will represent a very conservative district in Maine. I will listen to the voters. And he did. And he voted alongside the GOP numerous times. And then I will retire and I will come home to you. And he did. And he left in January 2025, I think, or whatever it was. Maybe this, I don't know when it was. This guy is a U.S. Marine, a veteran, a patriot, happens to vote Democrat because he was the product of Democrat parents. But on a balcony in middle Pennsylvania, he told me about what goes on in politics, what happens in the Beltway. And it's disgusting. Jared Golden could be a very interesting Senate candidate. I want to play for you a side-by-side I stumbled upon. Because isn't it just like the establishment to go against the will of the people and anoint a person to a political position, because this is what they do. Here's a side-by-side showing how similar these scripted lines that Eric Swalwell gave when he was dropping out of the governor's race after being credibly accused of roofing women and then raping them in his hotel room. And Graham Plattner, whose big offense seems to be about the same, if you believe the allegations. This is their side-by-side. They're going to go back and forth. Listen. It's like a template. They can't even be sincere about this sort of stuff. Listen.
That you see and hear from me directly.
I wanted to directly address the troubling, serious, and false allegations against me.
These allegations of sexual assault are flat false.
Any accusation of non-consensual behavior is categorically false.
I'm going to spend time with my family and friends, and I appreciate those who have reached out to me to show support.
We are taking the time to reflect on the best path forward for the state that I love, the people that I love.
I mean, is there anything that goes on that is not scripted? This is antithetical to what Americans are starving for. It's not perfection. We don't want an infallible individual. We just want somebody who's honest, who we can trust. That is the rarest of rarities in Washington, D.C. So when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, one of my boyfriends, Carl Higbee, actually, it's probably Brock's. We both love him. He's over on Newsmax. He does a great job enjoying the Democrats' Graham Plattner mess, and it's on deck for you next. It's worth it. On the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Wendy loves gold. I do love gold. So this is a very interesting thing that we're talking about. I've already selected a soundbite for tomorrow's show, which is very exciting for me. And it's a guy who's behind the Trump accounts, these $1,000 retirement funds for babies, newborns under the president. And he was talking about if you were to do $1,000 that the government is giving you, and then you yourself every week for the next 18 years of your child's life, you gave $10 a month. It shows.
A week.
Was it a week?
Yes.
$10 a week. How much would that money grow, compound, and what would you have at the age of 55? Oh my heavens. It's almost like the trajectory of gold and silver. The value and the worth of gold has gone up more than 7,000% since 1971 when we left the gold standard. And now you've got what? The purchasing value of $1 is like 10% what it was. It's like, pfft. This doesn't lose value, gold and silver. And this one I signed and have a picture on that you can get if you call 855-927-5557, wendylovesgold.com. Ask about opening up a gold-backed IRA. That's how you're going to get one of these bad boys. And ask about how you can get 6% in free silver. wendylovesgold.com, wendylovesgold.com. I really love this company. I would not shoot free television commercials for them. I did. Free. I personally think they should give us both some gold as a thank you. And I know they pay attention, so they should totally get on that stat. We told them that they should make a coin of us, of our logo. I mean, not of my face or something like that, but of like the logo, because it's cute. I love it. And that I think people would get it. I would get it. I would get it. Absolutely. That's better than a challenge coin, right? Here's $55. I don't know. What is the value of silver right now? Let's see. Wendy loves gold. So silver is $58.20 an ounce. Gold is down about $80 and it's at $4,068 an ounce. I'm interested in platinum and palladium because that's kind of in the middle. Palladium is trading at $12.30 and platinum metal at $15.84.
They could add color to it.
I think it could,
coin with the logo on it.
I think it could be really cool. I do. I think it could be really, really cool.
I'd save up and buy one.
Poor Brock. Pobrecito. That's what we call you.
I don't even know what you just said because I don't speak Spanish.
Poor little guy. Pobrecito. It's called sad. All right. And you know what? The next half hour, I don't have a whole lot scripted for it. When they say that there is a white supremacist faction within the GOP, do you guys know what they mean? What group is that? I want to know what you guys think. Who are those people? Where do you see them? Do they do anything? What do you guys think? Because that's coming up at 2 o'clock. That's coming up in the next hour. Let's see. You guys are doing well. I'll tell you what, 225 comments. If we could get up to 300 of those, wow. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends. I mean, it is true. I do delight in watching people who I think suck squirm. And that's pretty much all of the Democrats. Majority of the Republicans too, but all of the Democrats. It's kind of delicious watching this beast that they created by phoning it in, by being so hyper-focused on resisting Trump, hating Trump, stopping Trump. They forgot about doing the basic business of finding people who are good representations of our country, or at least helping those people that we select. Carl Higbee over on Newsmax had a great clip last night. It was like 5 minutes. We broke it into a couple little pieces here. But Carl is kind of in our wavelength. I'm like, if you're Graham Plattner and you've already won handily, this guy has won and has been extraordinarily successful across the state of Maine as a Democrat. Why would you throw in the towel? For what? Democrats to get their way, to do what they want? Or do you want to stay and see what actually might happen? Here's Carl Higbee.
I am loving this. This is like political cocaine. I am hoping this party eats itself alive. You know what, Graham Plattner, though? The Dems completely did you dirty, all right? They propped you up. They raised you money. They presumably vetted you and probably knew about all this stuff and still thought you could win because you were some like cosplaying blue-collar oyster farmer, of which you're not. And then when it became inconvenient for them, they threw you out with the bathwater in the last 48 hours. They have run this coordinated attack on you, Graham. So you should screw them back. Don't drop out. Make them pay for ruining your life. This is just me speaking, because the only thing that changed was the polls. Most recent poll from, by the way, before yesterday's story came out, had Graham Plattner losing by 5 points, 4 points to Susan Collins. And then when they saw that, and I'm making an educated guess on how this went based on my 15 years in politics on here, Democrats were like, oh, man, we got to get rid of this guy, just like they did with Joe Biden. And here's why now. According to the way Maine runs their elections, Plattner only has until this coming Monday, the 13th, to drop out. Otherwise, he's the guy on the ballot, and you can't put anyone else there. And they're going to do the same thing they did, just like with Kamala Harris. So she was just anointed without an election. It's so funny. The party screaming for democracy would be able to appoint the new Democrat Senate candidate without a public vote, just choosing whoever they want without an actual sliver of democracy.
100% right. And he's like, look, the Democrats ignored every single red flag, and they elevated a guy who is still hugely popular in Maine. The GOP could actually learn a thing or two here.
Over 70% of Maine Democrats voted for Plattner, and still, with all these allegations out there, 70+% In fact, he swept nearly every county, every town, and set a record for the most primary votes by any Democrat's U.S. Senate candidate in Maine ever. Wow. I mean, the Democrats were okay with all this stuff. So I never want to hear or be lectured about decorum or moral character or anything else by any other Democrat ever again, especially ones from Maine, by the way. But what can Republicans learn from this? Maximum pressure campaigns work. See, this is how Democrats always operate on every race for every single candidate all the time. Set a target, pile on, don't let up, keep going, keep pounding until the very end. Republicans, historically, they'll like write one story about it, have some temporary outrage, and then move on. This time, we, especially on this show in particular, did not let this go, along with some other people like the Maine Wire, who's been all over this. And it led to enough press that Plattner slipped in the polls enough to have the Democrats jettison him, which looks like what they're doing. This is the model, Republicans. This is how Republicans need to run every election forever going forward and use this election for everything else. Do not let any Democrat ever live down their association with Graham Plattner.
It's interesting when Democrats get a taste of what they say Republicans do when it happens to them, right? This is where MAGA and perhaps whatever fringe on the left you want to call that faction of the Democratic Party, whether it's your socialists who are demanding a complete renunciation of capitalism in this bizarre embrace of socialism and communism. These are all directly offshoots from a sucky government, from a uniparty, from a group of people who have been there too long and who believe that they can stay as long as they want. And that's why they can't have the Save America Act passed, ladies and gentlemen. Not just the Democrats, but the rhinos. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, can we all call out this stupid Patriot Front group for being the feds that they are? We got to talk about these morons. They call themselves white supremacists, or people do. Really? Really? Next. I want to know if any of you guys got the Patriot Front. Oh my gosh, finding the flag box pisses me off. I had one in it. My cart was selecting other things, and when I selected to pay, it said sold out. So I finished my order, submitted my payment, and now they find more. Sorry, RH5. There was that one Texas Democrat in a nursing home for 7 months. No, she was a Republican. That was Kay Granger, right? Mm-hmm. That was Kay Granger. She was like, ugh. Look, dementia happens. Old age happens. Shit happens. It sucks. We don't want it to happen. It happens. You ought not be in Congress when it happens. Look, and they're like, we need to have a mandatory retirement age. No, what you have to have is term limits. Term limits. Instead of making the presidency 2 4-year terms, why don't you just make it 6? Make it 6. Right? 6. And instead of, you can serve what? Forever in the Senate, 2 terms, 12 years, and 5 in the House. Whatever. 10 years, 12 years, that's enough. Then go get a real damn job. And then go see what it's like when you actually have to work for things and you don't have per diems and you don't get free airfare and free cab fare and your kids don't get free tuition. And you don't get free health insurance.
Think about like Chuck Schumer. These guys are making decisions about economics.
Who've never managed
and never had a real job. Never had a real job.
He went from law school to the Senate, or to the, I think he was in the House. I don't think.
I mean, how much
Schumer
damage can AOC do? What's her qualifications? An education and then bartending. You can understand the economics of it.
It's outrage. It's outrage. I'm outraged, and so I'm elevated now. That's what it is. Outrage. It's ridiculous. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Thank you, Dr. Donald. He's telling us the heat, the UV index is kind of rough today for us. So we should probably take it easy and stay hydrated. Do you think Dr. Donald knows that I'm going to be out in the yard all afternoon sweating bombs? Probably not. Ghost bed.
Well, you're going to need to take a nap after all the digging you're going to do.
This is a very good call. Ghost bed. You know, I like when people invent things because there's not a product that fits their needs, right? So imagine inventing a mattress because you've had enough neck surgeries and back surgeries that nothing is comfortable for you. And so you take the time to go and invent one. Nobody just goes out and they're like, honey, I'm going out to the shed. I'm going to go make a mattress. Like there's chemistry, there's a lot of math involved, there's technology. This guy did it, and he started ghostbed.com, ghostbed.com. So literally you go online and they have the lines of various mattresses, all of which will cool you, has this great cooling technology so you're not sweating bombs in your own heat at night. All of the models come with that technology. Get 10% off using my name, Wendy, ghostbed.com/Wendy. But you don't sit on it, fly flat on it or anything. You buy it online. It comes to your house. And if you want, they have service that'll set it all up for you. You take it out of the box. You carefully, cut off the plastic around it. And it goes, pew. And there it goes. It opens up. And you give it 24 to 48 hours to fully take its shape before you sleep on it. And then you have the nicest night's sleep and you zonk. That's all I can tell you. Ghostbed.com/Wendy. Good for, they have mattresses for dogs, RVs, campers. And this is not like $10,000 mattresses. These are quality mattresses. I have a hybrid one and it is luxurious. I'm just going to say, you lie on it and you're like, oh, that's what you want. I'm not sitting in my bed to read. I'm like, nighty night. Ghostbed.com. Made in America. I'm all about that. They sent me a new bed like nobody's business. If Brock didn't want one that was so expensive, they'd probably send him one too. Now, how much is the one that you want?
I don't know.
I don't either. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by the value.
And let's dispel the rumors from the chat. Did I not offer to help dig up your yard?
Yeah. Sure did.
The least I could do, you dug up mine.
I have to weed, and so our backyard has been under construction. It's getting close. Here, let me see if I can.
Close.
Let me see. I'll show you photos.
The granite looks fantastic.
Jarvis from Bird's Foot just texted me. He wants us to come golfing.
What's that?
Jarvis from Bird's Foot. Remember?
Yes.
All right, let me see. This is...
Let me take it off so you can...
That is the backsplash or the granite for the outdoor kitchen. That's what
it looks like. Fantastic.
So pretty. I think that's all I have. And hold on, let me see, because I took some from my dad. There's that.
Right, here we go.
It's going to be nice. It's super affordable.
Big party at Wendy's house.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family. She once hosted a 3-hour show in just 15 minutes. She once intimidated the Electoral College to audit itself. Her monologues are so sharp, they're considered a concealed carry weapon. Fact-checker sites routinely issue her a retraction a week in advance. Even her commercial breaks trend on social media. Her freedom of speech has diplomatic immunity. She doesn't just drain the swamp has to ask for cab fare. Wendy Bell is the most interesting conservative woman on radio. Keep rumbling, my friends. 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live and on the clock. You know, same way they made up January 6th. They created the conditions that made January 6th. It's an insurrection, right? All of it. It wasn't organic. That didn't just happen. And when we sniffed around enough and we're like, look, that's not what happened. They try to stick it on Donald Trump, right? He told everybody to go to the ellipse. And they selectively edited his audio. 60 Minutes took care of that. Nice job, network of suck. Show that once was good 30 years ago and stinks. I'm going to selectively edit it so it makes it sound like Donald Trump is like, you should go over there and you should totally riot. Totally go over there now. That's not what he did. That's not what happened. That's not the day. That wasn't the event. People weren't going to the Capitol on January 6th to riot. They went to demand that their representatives follow the Constitution. You have a right to ask for redress, which is a fine reminder that our representatives freaking work for us, not the other way around. And they damn well should start acting like it. So what did you have? You had thousands of people who'd been at the ellipse where there had been a crowd of 1 million estimates. And then we had people call into this program who were there and they're like, it was the weirdest thing. Like they were blocking off streets and like channeling us so that we had to go to the ellipse. Like they were leading the horse to water. It's like shutting off all of the roads and forcing all of the people in Lahaina during the crematorium style inferno to all be on the same highway where the flames came and killed everybody. It's just so weird how the similarities keep popping up in my mind. And they need you to believe that people were dangerous. They were there. They wanted to overturn the government. No, they didn't. They wanted to witness history. They wanted to believe that it's not garbage, that the Constitution actually matters, that people follow it. And that because they were so concerned about anomalies and problems in their areas across America, that the 2020 election was bogus. And it ought not have been certified. And they went there to witness. And then what they were was trapped. They were trapped. And we all know that. And they were persecuted. And they got 2 years beating that freaking piñata. Bad. January 6th, bad. You know what? They were there at the wrong time. The wrong place. And they got screwed. That's no different than this ridiculous story that they're trying to create a compliment, if you will, to the Democrats' nuttier wing, the Democrats' socialist, communist, Marxist, whack job, progressive wing of the party. They want you to believe, well, the far left, and then there's that far right. I've always wondered, who's the far right? Who's that? Who's that person? Like, what makes you far right? I really, really want to make America great again. I'm far right. Is that enough? What kind of views does someone on the far right have? Are they part of the KKK? Nobody I know, right? Are they all about white stuff? No, that's usually the Democrat Party. What are they? Well, we're told they're white supremacists, ladies and gentlemen. And though you and I have never met these people, they're elusive, right? They're like Mitch McConnell. Nobody's seen them before. Nobody knows who they are. But we're supposed to think that they're wearing ghillie suits and practicing on jungle gyms for some kind of guerrilla warfare as the extreme right wing of our party. And then the idiots called the Patriot Front came on board. Like a manufactured garbage story that is a really bad magic trick, right? Look, this is going to disappear. Oh, look, here it's back. Can we call out these people for who they are? These are the whack jobs who wear the khakis. They all dress alike, all the men, because nothing says I'm an individual like looking like everybody else. They wear the white things on their faces so you can't see who they are. Why ever would that be, right? And they carry Betsy Ross flags, and some of them wear knee pads, which is curious. We won't go there, right? And they all wear the same clothes. Nobody says anything, really. They're not like, rah, rah, rah. But they're supposed to make you go like, oh, what's that? And it's just stupid. It's just dumb. I want to read you this briefly from the New York Post because I think it's time that we put this stupid movement to bed. This is not some fringe right-wing party thing. It's manufactured to make it look like there's still people out there who are living in the 1920s who believe in white supremacy, right? Here's the headline, New York Post. White supremacist group marches on Washington, D.C., toting Confederate flags during 4th of July celebration. There's video of them riding the subway, and there's that black woman who's sitting there, and she's just got all of these guys. She's sitting in a seat. Nobody's bothering her, and they're not looking at her. It's a picture that makes her look like, what the hell's going on? Ah, that's the face of fear over white supremacy. No, it's not. Hundreds of masked white supremacists. Right there out of the gates. What makes them so? Who are these people? What do they believe in? Only fighting for whitey? Really? That's the dumbest thing I've heard. Hundreds of masked white supremacists descended on the nation's capital, proudly waving Confederate flags during the 250th Independence Day celebration. This is like the Steele dossier. Shoot, we wiretapped the dude, boss. We couldn't find anything on him. Make something up. Call Christopher Steele. Make it good. Dirty, but believable. Well, that's this. There's not white nationalism, white supremacy. There's not some weirdo fringe wacko group part of the MAGA movement that's on par with wackadoodle left progressivism. And so they have to make it. We're going to create it. We're going to create this, and we're going to create a website, and we're going to create some unis for you so we make it look like this is real. It's the dumbest. The demonstrators were seen wearing the emblazoned hats emblazoned with the logo for the Patriot Front, a white nationalist group founded by Thomas Rousseau after the 2017 Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. We all know how that ended. Members of the group were snapped riding the D.C. Metro Saturday. In one shot, a black woman sitting on the train looks scared. No, she doesn't. She's just got a bunch of dudes who are dressed alike. And she's probably sitting there being like, you guys realize you look really stupid. Nobody believes you. It's probably what she's thinking, right? Oh, she's scared. She looks scared as all of the seats around her are occupied by the masked men. The group chanted, "Reclaim America," as they marched from Washington, D.C.'s Union Station Saturday in a video posted on X. Now, if they're all about white supremacy, wouldn't they be harassing that black woman who's the only other person on the subway? Right? Wouldn't you be like, oh, yeah? No, they're just like, probably talking about the Dodgers game or whatever. Like, this is the dumbest thing. Police were on the scene, and some National Guard members arrived in the area. Well, thank God they could arrive at the Patriot Front. They sure couldn't arrive on January 6th until everything was already done. Good timing. The Metropolitan Police Department was tracking First Amendment activities that occurred this morning in the Eastern Market neighborhood. tracking First Amendment activities. Look, here's what I think. You have a right to look stupid. You have a right to walk around and be jeered and called out for the moronic, desperate attempt to create some, I don't know, desperate clinging to racism and slavery and the N-word and whites hate blacks and all of that. Like, that's so, how many decades ago? But they've got nothing. They've got nothing. How do you have a tarnish on Make America Great Again? How do you extremely have a wing of Make America Great Again? How do you sully that? It's unimpeachable. What do you believe? Well, I believe in making America great again. Oh, outrage! And so they create this garbage, and the New York Post picks it up. And the Metro Police there for First Amendment. But you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to be stupid. What you're not allowed to do is to create something, lie about it, kill people, wrongly prosecute them, withhold exculpatory evidence from them so they can't defend themselves, bash them for 2 years on television, steal their lives, ruin their financial everything, break up their marriages, and basically send them to their death. You can't do that. Now, if you want to be stupid, you want to wear khakis and a white gaiter or whatever face mask, right? With your sunglasses and your stupid hat. Okay, go ahead. But I do not believe in a white supremacy fringe group anywhere near my party, period. So maybe the New York Post can firmly pull its head out of its own keister and stop it with this drivel. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, for a little comic relief, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to bring you today's episodes of the Derangement Files. Rachel, the It Stops With You Maddow is first on deck. I think you'll like her, and then Chuck Todd again. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Think about all the things they've had to do. They had to go into Mar-a-Lago and create a story. They're looking for the binder. They're looking for Crossfire Hurricane. They raided the former president's house, right? But they had to create a narrative about that. Look at all these classified documents. Look at all these boxes. The boxes in there could have been Donald Trump's tax returns from 15 years ago. But we're going to create the optics. We're going to print out some confidential, top secret, right? Woo! Don't look at this. And we're going to create this narrative, which, of course, was really Joe Biden's narrative.
What did you sent you?
Uh-oh. Brock just sent me something from Julie Kelly. And she writes, Jack Smith's team, this is new, Jack Smith's team mishandled classified material in his investigation against President Trump for allegedly taking classified materials. Like, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. They literally have nothing.
How about the story before that?
What was it?
Former Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan has been sentenced to no prison time after she was found guilty of obstructing ICE agents from arresting. Paid a $5,000 fine. Prosecutors had asked for 15 to 21 months. The judge said this is a situation where an otherwise good person upset by immigration enforcement in the county.
Oh, you get treated that same way, Brock.
Hmm?
You'd get treated that same way,
Right.
babe. Let me tell you about GLP-1 Gold. GLP-1 Gold by Juvenon. It's this little baby. GLP-1 Gold by Juvenon. This is a capsule. It's a dietary supplement. I believe you take one a day?
2.
No, not of GLP. And what this does is this hormone, which basically connects your brain and your gut. I've always wondered how do morbidly obese people get that way? Because if I overeat, I feel horrible. I can't, right? something in the brain. It's not connecting. It's not firing. This helps it fire. GLP-1 Gold helps with that so that you're not tempted to eat. You don't think about eating. You miss a meal. And that's huge. It's not dissimilar to the MCT Wellness, the Dr. Gundry mix. But this is a capsule. This is their hottest seller. This is what Juvenon, the makers of Blood Flow 7, this is their jam. And if you have significant weight to lose, if you're on some kind of a plateau and you can't seem to move that number on your scale, this is 30% off. Everything of theirs is 30% off for us. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Read the reviews. Read the ingredients. Talk to your doctor. See if this is something that might work for you. It is for significant weight loss. I will say that. Significant weight loss. Uh-oh, Brock is busy sending me more stuff.
No, it's just a story to that, Jack Smith.
We'll put that in for tomorrow. How about that? I'm not going to be able to chew too much on that today. Everything has been manufactured. Give me another story. They couldn't tell you the truth about COVID. It had to come from some bat in a market. Why? Jeffrey Epstein was just a philanthropist. Bill Gates really didn't know him. Well, welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, there are, I think that Democrats have become so consumed by the fake narrative about President Trump. And a lot of Americans have been. They've been fed a steady diet of garbage about this man. The media give him 95 to 98% negative coverage. They've gone after him countless times through lawfare, and they've tried to kill him multiple times. At some point, you have to look in the mirror and be like, something else is going on. I'm being lied to. This is a huge psyop. Donald Trump is he's the scourge. What an embarrassment. That man, I find him vile and reprehensible. And then you'd say, why? Well, E. Jean Carroll. Really? What do you know about that? Because that was another manufactured story. She couldn't even give you any of the basics, like Christine Blasey Ford, right? Believe all women. Well, I don't know. 29 have come forward, and none of them have stuck the landing for President Trump, right? And all of the allegations are absolutely cuckoo. Demonstrably, never, ever has he been seen or suggested to have looked at, touched inappropriately, or written something sexual or suggestive to anyone ever. But he raped E. Jean Carroll in a department store dressing room while he was married to a supermodel. Got it. Here's Rachel Maddow. Rachel, who was so insistent during COVID that you get your shot because it's magic. It stops with you. You stop it. It's over. Right? She's super upset. She's super upset at President Trump. She's really not happy at all that this guy is still in office, particularly around the 250th celebration of our country. Let's listen into her derangement.
I mean, 49 years and 363 days from now, if and when we hit our 300th anniversary as a country, I'm telling you, whatever media we have then will be looking back at us. We'll be looking at what we did this weekend. They'll be looking back at this 250th anniversary. What are we going to say we did? It's just going to look like this feckless, failed, truly laughable effort by a, cult of personality, would-be dictator, failed extremist president who is more unpopular than just about any other president in the history of the presidency, but who is nevertheless trying to turn the country into Trumpistan, and that is how he spent the 250th commemoration of our founding as a nation.
Pretty sure he addressed the nation. Pretty sure there was a phenomenal World Fair going on. in D.C., which was all cleaned up and beautified, right? The fireworks, family stuff. That is infuriating to her. She cannot see past her ire. That is a mouthpiece, a main mouthpiece on television at night. Isn't that a shame? I feel for people like that. Not very long, because I think she's a horrible person, but that's fine. Then there's Chuck Todd, who shows that even though he's not wearing her hairstyle and her glasses, that there is a male version of Rachel Maddow, and it's him. He's still stewing over the 4th of July, and he proves that derangement is a very tough bug to shake.
There's the America 250 celebration that he completely co-opted and made it a Trump-branded spectacle, literally driving people away. Fewer people came to Washington, not the white supremacists. They felt welcome. But fewer regular Americans decided to come because he just made it less. He basically made it that if you showed up to an event in Washington, you were endorsing him. He tried to make the America 250 an endorsement of him. And you know what? Plenty of people are like, I'm endorsing America, the idea. I'm not celebrating your fat ass. I know, I got a little bit. It's just so insulting what he's done to us.
I wonder what it's like to be owned by somebody, because Donald Trump owns these people. And he makes it so much worse by putting his name on everything, which is hilarious. And he does it for a reason. Do you want to know what Rachel Maddow and Chuck Todd did not do over the 4th of July? I guarantee you they did not go to Washington, D.C. and see the fireworks. I guarantee you they didn't go and enjoy any of the events, any of the exhibits from all of the states and 6 U.S. territories. I guarantee you they didn't hold a sparkler, eat a hot dog, or smile with other people. They were stuck in their derangement. That's a shame. That's a shame. Some people will not be safe, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, we're not going to get America back until we stop dumbing down our children. Where do these leftists get all of this stuff, all of this bunk? Come with us to New York City, most expensive and failed education next. This is one of those stories where you already know that the public schools are failing our students. That's a broad brush, but a pretty big and meaningful stroke. But beyond that, it's a huge grift. Huge grift. Is there one thing that is not a grift? Joe Rogan, I saw on my social media feed, was going through all of these, Cars for Kids and these cancer, networks, the Miracle Network or whatever. Give money and we'll grant wishes to these terminally ill children. And it wasn't like 1 or 2. It was like, and what percentage of said donations actually go to the children? And it's staggering. It's like 2%. It's like 2%. Even charitable giving under the guise of some kind of do-goodery. It's all hijacked. It's all stolen and then usurped for other reasons by other people. Why? Can we stop it? How about we stop it? Jack Smith prosecutors may have mishandled classified documents after charging Trump with the same offense. You cannot make it up, guys. The Patriot Front. Is that just, does everybody get the same vibe? I mean, honestly, have you ever met a white supremacist? I've never. It's like the dodo bird. Where do they exist? Do they really actually exist? Or is this a figment of our imagination? Who are these people? I mean, honestly, the white supremacists who are sitting very calmly, politely on a subway with a black woman who's literally the only other person in the subway car with them. It's just one black woman with all the white supremacists. It's the dumbest optic ever. It's hilarious. This is a bad magical performance. It's just bad. Brockton, show them your magic trick with your phone that we're using. You were using this to, yeah.
Just my magic trick.
Your magic trick about how you make your phone. If you're a bad magician, this is.
Now you see it. Now you don't. Now you see it. Now you. Poof. Gone.
It's gone.
Wait, here comes. Clap. Oh, there it is. Hide it behind my ear.
It's so stupid. It's so bad. So, wow. Wow.
Thought that might go along well with your.
Yeah. That's lovely. What are other things, Brock, that the left has made up, or that people that have been made up, manufactured?
Well, we could
stories?
say let's go to the racism. Remember all the Smalley daycares?
Yes.
Racist. If you were looking into that and that was racist, you bigots.
Mm-hmm.
For wanting your money, bigots.
What other big stories? I mean, if you need to know how ridiculous, it's E. Jean Carroll.
Apparently he was just, some judge says he needs to pay her $5 million now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Good old capitalism at work.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of it. The one that will be burned in me forever is January 6th, though.
I am a magician.
You are.
Watch. Now you see me.
Your eyes gave it away. And
Here we go.
And so did the click. It was pretty bad.
What do you mean? You mean the click?
I heard your mouse click.
You're not supposed to tell them the secret to the magic.
This is literally at 4:30 in the morning. This is what we do, where we just ruminate on how dumb the news is. So, I mean, I don't know where I came to the idea of two heads of the same snake.
But I know what it is.
We're all fighting the same battle, right? Different people we're targeting, but it's all for the same reason.
Yeah, that's what the socialists are fighting for. Is they're tired of the Democrats promising them free shit and not coming through. So now they want to get their people in to get their free stuff. We are tired of being lied to, and we are on the extreme right, are tired of you infringing more and more on our rights. Socialism can work in the church, right? It's voluntary to give. It doesn't work when you force people to give. And that's what socialism is. They force you to give. That's why I don't understand the mentality of people who believe in this. Why are you forcing me to give you what I have? And the guy that I've watched and that we know it's funny. He's talking about how he's going to manipulate the system
like a capitalist,
while saying we should all live under socialism. What? Make it make sense.
radio program. You know, this is a story that personally ticks me off. No, it pisses me off. You know, I would love to send my kids to a quality public school where they would get fantastic educations, where they would learn about American history. They would learn the basics, too. Basics of home economics. Shop. Learn how to change a tire. Check the oil. Basic stuff that was done for years and years and years before, I guess, liberals infused toxicity into the system. This happened many, many years ago. I remember it at the University of Colorado. Went there 88 to 92. I remember hearing my liberal professors talking about things that just didn't seem right to me. But it has become far more insidious, and we are losing generations of children to it. And we pay an awful lot in taxes so that we have education systems that are supposed to be preeminent in the world. They're not. And they have not been. And they are so costly. And we have to at some point say, and this is what the president tried to do, blow up the Department of Education. Blow it up. It does not work. So there's this group of people, they did this study on New York City in particular. They've been paying attention in New York City for a while. They published this report, and you can extrapolate from New York City, wherever you live, some iteration of failure of your public school system. The report is called By Any Honest Measure. And it says New York City's long record of school failure and the price we keep paying. In a microcosm of America, this is how we feel about the deep state. This is how we feel about the establishment. We all know that it's corrupt. We all know that we pay too much in taxes. We all know that there's a bunch of filthy dirtbags stealing our money. We all know they're lying to us. We've all said we want the Save America Act because we want to change things. We want to make sure it's our vote. And that same uniparty is preventing it from happening. Public education isn't that dissimilar. We all know it's failing. And yet the costs keep going up. What is it going to take for that story to change? I'm going to get to page 3 of this report, and I want to read you a little bit about what we're talking about. It is so beyond egregious. It is failing children year on year and year in and year out. 600,000, 800,000, whatever it is. More than 900 New York City schools, nearly half of all public schools in the city, had fewer than half of their students passing math, reading, or both on state exams last year. Those 906 schools enroll 409,000 students, 43% of all New York City public school children. In 503 of those schools, the majority of students failed both math and reading. Right there. Nearly half of New York City's public schools failed to get a majority of students to pass, impacting 43% of all public school children. About a third of the 906 schools in this report have been cycling through state and city accountability lists since 2012 or earlier, receiving additional funding with each new designation, sometimes changing names, sometimes merging with other schools, but rarely turning around. The cost is enormous. New York City spent $40 billion on public education alone in 2024, $36,293 per pupil. To fail, to have 43% not know how to read and do math. The city is now committed to billions more to fund a class size mandate that the evidence does not support, while propping up hundreds of vacant schools that drain resources at a premium rate with no return. Meanwhile, the students most harmed by this failure attend the same schools that have been failing since before many of them were even born. Documented in this report are the policies and practices and blunders that have allowed this failure to persist and to go largely unacknowledged. Accountability frameworks that reset every few years, erasing a school's documented history of failure, grade inflation that allows students to pass courses that they are not learning, test cut scores quietly lowered so that gains can be announced. A school survey designed to measure satisfaction rather than learning. These are not accidents. They are the product of a system that has chosen year after year to protect itself rather than serve its students. How are this public school systems any different than your federal government? They're not. It's the same thing. Imagine a hospital where more than half of patients died from routine procedures, a fire department that failed to respond to more than half of its calls, a municipal water utility that delivered contaminated water to more than half of its residents, or air traffic controllers whose lack of oversight regularly resulted in massive casualties. No other public institution would be permitted to operate in this way. Yet, in New York City public education, this level of failure has been normalized and, worse, systematically obscured. This report examines the scale of the problem, the wasteful and convoluted funding structures, and the total absence of real accountability or sincere efforts to improve that have perpetuated it, and how it is being obscured to the point that New Yorkers have come to just accept this level of failure as irreversible and even normal. This is what we do with the government. Where's my money going? Why am I paying taxes if you can't balance the budget? Where's my money going if you don't let DOJ uncover how it might be misspent? Why do I always have to take it on the chin for you to always suck? Now, money is one thing. That's stinging. But when it's your children, that's country changing. That's what's happening. We can't afford to disregard the profound harm done to hundreds of thousands of children, nor can we afford the high societal cost of this failure. And it goes on and on. It shows just how ridiculous the abject failure is, the cover-ups. We're going to change the names on these things. This program, well, it's going to kind of peter out. We're going to put in something new. And we're going to use our 100% Democrat school board and our 100% Democrat city council to make sure that we run interference for anybody who's stupid enough to sniff around and be like, my kid's illiterate. Well, why are you getting $36,000 a child for them not to learn? This is the crux in a microcosm of a much more macro problem. We have to be able to replace people who cannot be trusted. And when they control who gets elected, the cycle never changes. It never ends. That's what we're fighting for. And I dare say the right-wing extremists, you MAGA folk, and the people over on the left with the Democrat socialists, on this are united. One, where the hell is the money going? And two, we don't like the government at all. Then there's this story, which is curious. Just broke in the last hour from the New York Post. Apparently, the House is going to be investigating. I love when there's a pop-up ad right where I'm trying to read. House is investigating Randy Weingarten, kind of dipping into the teachers' union funds to write a manifesto book. What? House Republicans have launched a probe into allegations that American Federation of Teachers dues were spent to help the union's president, Randy Weingarten, write and promote a controversial book. The investigation by the GOP-led House Committee on Education and workforce comes after the Post's exclusive report in May that Weingarten tapped into hundreds of thousands in union resources to help pen her book, Why Fascists Fear Teachers, Public Education, and the Future of Democracy. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Poster child for letting the suck continue. And then what do? You got to get all the teachers involved in the union, right? Get them in the union, because if you're not in the union, you don't qualify for all the bells and whistles and the perks. But how many teachers are in the union who don't like the union and really hate Randy Weingarten? Why? Seems like there's got to be a major house cleaning going on. And it has to start with trusting our elections. I was heartwarmed yesterday to see a picture that Spencer Pratt pushed on his X account. He was sitting in the Oval Office, his son to his right, Susie Wiles to his left, sitting across from the President of the United States at the Resolute desk. What do you suppose those two men had to chat about? Elections matter. This is something I think the right and the left can agree on, period. Because no matter how you slice it, the enemy of both of us is the deep state, the uniparty, the swamp. Quick time out. When we're back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's wrap it up in a bow next, which is code for I don't know what we're talking about. But think about it. We could go on and on. This is actually a really interesting and well-written report. And it goes into the nuances and the many layers by which people are protected from being exposed. Right? You're protected. Members of Congress have been protected forever. This is how the playbook has become so predictable. They haven't had to review it. They're like, man, just print a new copy. It's fine. Nobody's paying attention. Really? What if we are, though? What if we are? Two heads of the same snake. 2.19. All right, I'm going to put a plea. If you have not hit the Rumble button or the follow button, would you please? I personally think we can get to 2.5 today. It's 310 away. I think we can do that. Shoot, we sold 30 freaking flags in 4 minutes.
We're 3,300 away from 100,000 followers.
That's pretty awesome. Brock is feeling extraordinarily patriotic today. I'm trying to see if there's any new information about Mitch McConnell, but aside from the great meme on him doing a Thriller dance, hilarious. Hilarious. Some of these responses to Mitch McConnell or to Scott Jennings are just like,
yeah, no matter what he puts up, he put something up about not Mitch McConnell and just got scoriated.
blistered. Totally blistering. I don't know. I think these democratic socialists, I think these are products of that failed public education system. And then the failures to get into college and the supersizing of the suck narrative, the rewriting of American history. I'm freezing. Are you freezing?
It's chilly over here.
Do you guys like my dress that Jolene bought me? Brock thought it was ugly. I mean, there's a lot going on.
It's busy.
Let's see. What's in there?
It's got like flags and an eagle. It's from the fishing store.
There's fish and lures, tackle, palm explosions or palm trees. I can't tell. I just gave myself a headache.
I think there's supposed to be explosions.
Is that right?
Very Americana. Fishing.
Well, that's what I like to do. So.
It's busy.
Oh, Froggy did write the White House. And they sent him something back. Very cool. It's the quickest they've ever responded. Froggy, what did you send them? Send me that.
Bell radio program. You frequent flyers out there know we were off on Friday. And that wasn't really necessarily because of the 4th of July. I needed to take the time to go visit my father in California and visit him to help clean out my mom's clothes and things. She passed away 2 years ago, Friday. And so I flew out to help my dad begin that process. And we worked together side by side for the better part of 2 days. It's not an easy thing to do, but it was necessary. We had to do it. You've been there. We're all in this club at some point or another that nobody wants to be a part of, but it's life, right? But he said something interesting to me. We were speaking about differences between my sister and me. And my sister is as far from me as one probably politically could be. And we coexist, though there is tension always. And it's unfortunate. It ought not be that way. But my father said something about President Trump, which I thought was interesting. He said he believed that President Trump was a vile and reprehensible human being, and went on to talk about something else. It really wasn't the time or the place for me to ask, but it took everything I had to not. And all I wanted to say, not to poke a fight or pick a fight, was to say, well, why? What do you believe is vile and reprehensible about President Trump? Because I really wanted to know. I'm not so sure he would be able to provide me with anything demonstrable, because it's based on what you read. He gets the LA Times. He reads the Wall Street Journal. He's a very smart man. But when your diet is the same food over and over and over again, it's what you're used to. It becomes part of you. I wanted to ask him, what did he do that was vile? Because I've heard things lobbied against this president, but they never stick. 29 different people women allege that he tried to have sex with them or did have sex with them, or that he was this or he was that. And I don't get that vibe. And neither did any of the judges, right? Oh, shady business deals. I'm not so sure you make deals and make billions of dollars and become a real estate tycoon by screwing people over. If you are not operating within your integrity, then I'm sorry, you can have all the money in the world, but nobody's going to want to deal with you. And I wanted to open the door. Is it possible, the way I quiz myself, is it possible that I live in this bubble and I'm literally nose blind to everything and I'm just this big fool? I don't think so. But I do checks, awareness checks every now and again. But I'm going to ask him next time he comes out, and we're going to plan a trip. He's going to come out hopefully in the fall and visit us. I want to ask, what did you mean by that? I want to know what his info is, what his sources are. Can you imagine having 95% negative news about you always? That anything that you do well, nobody talks about, but they make up stuff about you to make it sound like you're a monster? And then when they're doing bad stuff, they lie and say you're actually the one who's doing it so as to throw off the scent. And meanwhile, all you really want is that the country that you love should be the best that it can be. And that the people who call it home might have the best lives possible. Basic stuff that we've gotten used to not having: safety, comfort, familiarity in our surroundings, all these new people who invaded us, and the danger and the threat that they bring. It's like looming always. There's one guy who wants to make it better. One guy who saw the 250th birthday years ago and started planning. The guy who throws the ultimate party. And truly, I believe, loves America. When that is your public enemy number one, that scares me. I don't know how I'll bring that conversation up. I might let it go, but I'm interested. Maybe he knows, Dad knows something I don't know. Or maybe even as shrewd as he is in his 84 years. He's also a product of the propaganda. Well, all I know is we're going to try to dispel more rumors, break more news, tell you more facts, and enjoy more laughs with you. Because if we can't have fun walking through the crazy, what's the point? Thanks for being part of the Wendy Bell Radio program. Love you guys. Peace.